A young boy awakens, gasping for air as he is held down in a filthy toilet. Little does the world know, he was once humanity's greatest shield. That man was Cassian Lee, a legendary hero who annihilated villains with a mere glare until the very people he trusted drove a blade into his back. Now, the legend reopens his eyes, but instead of a glorious battlefield, he is stuck in a dingy, humiliating school bathroom. Laughter echoes as bullies brand him the school's ultimate loser. Irony bites hard. Cassian has been reincarnated into the body of a boy destined to become the world's most hated villain. Staring into the cracked mirror, a stranger looks back. This is not the face of the hero who once saved millions. Yet, a terrifying darkness now stirs within him. The destructive spirit of Moros awakens, ready to unleash godlike devastation upon the bustling city. Breaking news saturates the airwaves following yesterday's brutal robbery on South Avenue. Authorities officially declare that the use of lethal force against criminals will now be the new standard. Outrage sparks a massive petition against LAMPAS, the International Hero Association. They demand Cassian Lee be held accountable for his excessive, blood-soaked justice. Inside the LAMPAS Washington branch, S-rank light mage Schiller poses a chilling question. Is Cassian truly a hero or a monster in disguise? The protagonist crushes his cup, the metal groaning under his grip. He finds the director's suspicion nothing short of insulting. Tupin demands a shred of remorse for his reckless solo mission. Because he ignored the plan, the villain Ralph escaped, and public favor has completely vanished. Cassian argues he secured the hostages, but Tupin snaps back. In their world, the well-being of the innocent is the absolute law, a law he dangerously ignored. The protagonist remains cold and unwavering, insisting his victory was never in doubt. Tupin counters that a true hero must act with a calm, rational mind. Raw power without reason is just a disaster waiting to happen. Believing you are right doesn't make it so, she warns. Your actions mirrored a villain's. Cassian narrows his eyes, the weight of her words sinking in. Probation is his only mercy. One more slip-up, and the Witch of the Steel Tower will ensure he never sees the field again. Once outside, Cassian fumes. That woman truly lives up to her terrifying nickname. He puzzles over how a witch like her and his pal Jeff ever became inseparable best friends. He needs a way out of this bureaucracy then. A call from Jeff flashes on his screen. What is it now? Cassian asks, stunned. He complains that Jeff is calling from all the way in Rhodes, Greece. After touching down at Rhodes International Airport, Cassian takes a slow, contemplative sip of his coffee. He admires the magnificent view, thanking Jeff for the excuse to visit. It has been 6 long months since they last crossed paths. Memories of the HC orphanage flood back. A young Cassian stares wide-eyed at clay toys that seem to have a soul of their own. Are they alive? He asks in wonder. Jeff chuckles, explaining they are just dolls dancing to his whim. Cassian wonders if Jeff will become a superstar hero on television. But the boy sighs, fearing his simple gift isn't enough to change the world. Your powers are actually incredible, the protagonist insisted. He wonders if that was 2 years ago, right before his life changed with an American adoption. Those were the only peaceful days he ever knew. He drains his cup as the cafe around him falls into an eerie silence. He checks the time Jeff is late. To make matters worse, his friend isn't even picking up his phone. Anxiety creeps in as he wonders what went wrong. Then, a familiar voice calls his name from the shadows. Cassian spins around, but his heart drops. His friend stands there, battered and broken. He demands to know if he was ambushed by a villain. Jeff gasps, his voice trembling with regret. I shouldn't have called you here. The blond man thrusts a necklace into his hands. Cassian ignores the trinket, frantically trying to assess the horrific wounds on his friend. I'm fine, Jeff lies. But the illusion shatters as he coughs up a spray of crimson. Cassian realizes the situation is fatal. Jeff's eyes are wild with desperation. Run, Cassian. You need to leave right now, or you'll be in danger too. Hang on, Cassian shouts, reaching for help. But the air suddenly turns cold. He senses a presence, someone carrying a blade. With a final, desperate burst of strength, Jeff shoves him away. A shadow flickers. In one fluid, blinding stroke, the assassin's blade whistles through the air. Jeff's head is severed instantly, sending a gruesome arc of blood painting the pavement. Cassian lets out a soul-shattering scream as his best friend's head hits the ground. Dropping to his knees, he sobs Jeff's name. But the killer is already a blur, leaping across the rooftops. Cassian's grief turns to a murderous, white-hot rage. The hunt leads them to the jagged rocks of the shoreline, Cassian's lungs burning with every desperate step. He snarls at the figure, demanding to know the motive. Is it a hit or a personal grudge? It doesn't matter, the killer must pay. Blazing fire ignites around Cassian's fists. He vows to burn the assassin alive. The killer scoffs, "You're as arrogant as ever." Shock paralyzes the protagonist. He recognizes that voice. It is the S-rank knight, Jack Khaled. How could a comrade do this? Jack's voice is like ice as he claims he was simply purging a traitor. Traitor? Cassian spits. But from the darkness behind him, a cold female voice confirms the devastating lie. Jeff stood accused of murdering a comrade. Lara, an S-rank ice mage, claims the evidence is undeniable and executives have passed judgment. Jack's voice drops. Cassian is now officially on the traitor watch list as well. Staring coldly at the hero, he demands a full confession regarding every secret talk with Jeff. Cassian scans for an exit, but a heavy sigh escapes. There is no path for retreat. He defends Jeff's clean record, but Lara warns that 2 more elites are closing in fast. Jack demands he act like a true hero. This is the final warning. Yet Cassian smirks, agreeing that it's time to be rational. He should stay calm, but first, he'll take their lives. His fists ignite with lethal flames. Jack unsheathes his blade, but Cassian blitzes through the slashes, burying a punch into his chest. Jack recoils instantly. He summons phantom katanas, while Lara readies her frost. Cassian roars for them to bring it. He parries their synchronized assault, but as he charges, a sudden impact tears through his abdomen. Cassian collapses to his knees, wondering if a sniper is lurking among the other heroes. Lara demands his surrender, stating the next shot is aimed directly between his eyes. Instead, the protagonist sparks a final ember, telling them to rot as he hurls hellfire. The hellfire engulfs the S-ranks. Cassian bolts, cursing his luck as he desperately flees. "I'll kill you all later," he thinks, leaping away, only for a bullet to pierce his heart. "Damn it," he mutters as his strength fades, his body plunging into the dark abyss. He never expected such a pathetic death, craving revenge as the necklace begins to pulse. Elsewhere, students grumble at a sink, complaining about the nuisance hiding in the stall. The guy inside isn't breathing. They prepare to flee, but a sudden, heavy gasp echoes out. Cassian stirs, his head breaking the water's surface as he chokes, desperate for air. The necklace glows. This isn't his frame. He fell from a cliff, yet he's here. His voice sounds foreign and weak, forcing him to turn toward the mirror in dread. Cassian freezes in shock. The reflection staring back isn't him. It makes no sense at all. Why is he a pretty boy now? He prays this is a nightmare, but the reality is cold. This is no dream, and just as the panic sets in, a searing pain erupts inside. Foreign memories rush in. He is now a Korean student named Kang Wu. While he struggles, a mysterious voice declares that Cassian has finally awakened from his slumber. He spins around as dark energy manifests into Moros, a splendid soul from an ancient era. Kang Wu stares speechless. Moros ignores his confusion, offering to answer the many questions burning in the boy's mind. Later, Kang Wu summarizes the claim that the entity literally dragged his soul back from hell. Moros admits this process failed often. Noting his perfect Korean, Cassian explains his past life, sighing at the absurdity of being reborn. Moros asks if Jeff gave him the necklace, as it was forged to be his guardian. Cassian recalls Jeff's cryptic parting words, realizing the man had planned this protection all along. He demands to know what Jeff was searching for, something about a sword scrap. Moros reveals it was the mark of annihilation, a weapon forged during the mythical wars. When Cassian questions this, Moros tells him to shut up and listen to the tale. Kang Wu's patience wears thin. Moros tells him to check his phone, even as Kang Wu scoffs at Jeff's sacrifice, but his eyes scan the screen. Headlines scream that Cassian is dead, and Jeff was murdered by him. They're framing him for murder. His hand trembles, nearly crushing the phone as he growls that every word is a lie. Kang Wu grinds his teeth in pure fury. Those bastards from Lampus actually had the nerve to frame him. Instead of protecting the innocent, they pinned the blame on him. Moros urges Cassian to stay calm, but the protagonist's hair begins to shift. His eyes flash with unnatural colors. He can't believe they would betray him like this. As his power awakens, lethal claws sprout from his fingertips. Kang Wu stares in shock, wondering what kind of nightmare is unfolding. Elsewhere, the school delinquents grow impatient. They wonder why their victim is taking so long, but he'll be here soon. A chubby lackey scrambles toward them. The purple-haired leader mocks the running pig, while the blonde one sneers at the pathetic sight. They demand an update, and the kid confirms the bathroom was empty. No one was there. The nerd panics, asking if he checked for the police or an ambulance, but the chubby kid saw absolutely nothing. Confusion turns to annoyance. They were sure the bastard had gone to hell since he wasn't breathing earlier. The nerd trembles to himself, certain that the life had left the boy's body. The purple-haired bully dismisses him. The blonde one rages, screaming that he nearly had a heart attack over a dead man. He assumes the nerd was just exaggerating. The purple-haired one sighs. As long as he didn't die, everything is fine. The blonde demands to know their next move. Their leader's eyes turn cold. He's going to find that trash and finish him off. Reaching the rooftop, the protagonist pants. Moros asks if he came here to avoid being seen in this state. It was a smart move, but the protagonist explodes. He blames Moros for this curse and demands an explanation. He demands to know why he was turned into a villain. Moros scoffs at his temper. He explains that coming back from the dead has warped the very balance of fate. This body was never meant for a hero. Its original destiny was to become a catastrophe-class villain. The words catastrophe-class ring in his ears. He has inherited a dark fate, and Moros confirms the truth. A hollow laugh escapes the protagonist. A first-class hero, now demoted to a catastrophe-class villain. He slams his fist into the wall, cursing the irony. He refuses to accept this villainous path. Kang Wu hides his face in thought. Moros reminds him he must survive. Jeff would have wanted it that way. Before the end, Jeff confessed his regret for dragging him into this. Even facing death, Jeff didn't think of himself. He gave up his only chance at survival to save him instead. Kang Wu can't let that sacrifice be for nothing. Moros calls his name, urging him to regain his composure. Kang Wu snaps that he hates taking orders. Moros ignores the attitude. He must calm down to regain human form. The boy decides to do it. Moments later, he asks Moros what kind of entity he truly is. Moros is amused by the interest. The protagonist admits that anyone capable of resurrection is worth knowing, but Moros remains cryptic. The answers lie with the sword of annihilation. Kang Wu narrows his eyes. Perhaps that legendary blade is the key to Jeff's murder. Moros agrees, but their conversation is cut short by a taunt. Someone calls the protagonist a pathetic loser. The purple-haired bully approaches with a smirk, surprised to see him still breathing in the school halls. Nearby girls whisper in awe. It's Kim Woo-chan, a fighter-class hero apprentice with striking looks. The young man walks with cool confidence until his phone rings. He answers, addressing his senior, Lee De-wong. As they talk business, Wu-chan's eyes drift toward the window, catching sight of something unusual. He tells his senior he'll call back and begins to observe. The protagonist faces the three delinquents. Cassian sizes up the situation, recalling exactly who these thugs are. Moros reminds him that he's invisible to everyone else. The blonde bully scoffs, claiming he's stressed over a nobody. Their leader sneers, noting that Kang Wu seems even more brain-dead than usual. He barks that Kang Wu should have reported back immediately, instead of hiding. Kang Wu just asks if he's done barking. He's reaching his limit. He has no interest in fighting children, but these brats clearly need a thrashing. Moros warns him. Even in human form, a villain's strength far exceeds that of a normal person. He must hold back, or he might kill them. Kang Wu knows that very well. The blonde bully shoves his hands in his pockets and struts forward. He mocks Kang Wu's mumbling, asking if he's lost his mind. Kang Wu meets his gaze with terrifying intensity. The look in his eyes sends a surge of irritation through the delinquent. The bully swings, barking about where he's looking. But before he can land a finger, a heavy fist craters into his jaw. With one clean strike, Kang Wu drops the blonde cold. His friends freeze in pure shock, but our hero stays locked in his lethal stance. The blonde hits the pavement like a sack of bricks. Purple hair stares in disbelief, wondering how a loser like this just pulled that off. Suddenly, the nerd charges forward with a roar, screaming for Kang Wu to rot in hell. Kang Wu watches the frantic charge with cold eyes. He effortlessly tanks the bat with his forearm, countering with a lightning-fast jab that puts another thug to sleep. The leader's cigarette slips from his lips, hitting the floor as his jaw drops. Shocked that two of his goons were finished in a single blow, he finally meets Kang Wu's chilling gaze. Kang Wu asks if he's ever felt a shred of guilt for the lives he's ruined. Why the silence? Answer me. The leader just sneers, mocking the very concept of guilt. He's had enough of this loser playing the hero. He mocks the boy for acting tough after beating Small Fry, but Kang Wu simply notes his utter lack of remorse. Since words won't work, Kang Wu decides a brutal lesson is the only way to make him feel something. The rooftop showdown ignites. Kang Wu blurs forward with explosive speed. Startled, the purple-haired thug desperately scrambles into a defensive stance. The thug lunges for a clash, but Cassian weaves under the incoming punch with predator-like grace. In a flash, he drives a crushing uppercut straight into the delinquent's exposed chin. As the bully reels back, Cassian strikes again, burying a devastating blow deep into his solar plexus. Blood sprays as the bully collapses to his knees, his spirit broken by a single, concentrated strike. Cassian looks down with ice in his veins, asking if regret has set in yet. The thug only responds with a desperate curse. Our hero warns that he was holding back, but clearly, the lesson hasn't sunk in. It's time to get serious. Terror grips the thug's heart. Suddenly, a new voice echoes across the roof. It's Wu-chan, demanding to know if this is enough. Dead leaves swirl around the hero apprentice. Recognizing the newcomer, the delinquent begins to shake with pure, unadulterated fear. Kang Wu demands to know who this interloper is. Wu-chan retorts, asking what honor there is in crushing those far weaker than himself. The bully's pride shatters as he's dismissed like a mere weakling. Gritting his teeth, the thug lunges at Kang Wu in a blind rage. But the hero simply pivots, delivering a bone-shattering kick. The thug is sent sprawling. Wu-chan catches Kang Wu's shoulder, insisting it's over, but the boy's piercing glare leaves the hero stunned. Kang Wu snaps an elbow strike toward Wu-chan, but his eyes widen as the hero effortlessly parries the blow. He follows up with a heavy straight, but the apprentice dances away. In that split second, Kang Wu realizes something is different. Wu-chan shifts his weight, unleashing a lethal high kick. Kang Wu barely ducks in time. This guy's speed is on another level. Moros warns Cassian that his opponent is a true hero. Fighting him now, in his weakened state, is suicide. Wu-chan strikes again. Kang Wu evades, but the sheer force of the near miss draws blood from his cheek. The two face off on the desolate rooftop, tension thick in the air. Kang Wu glares, questioning if this man is truly a hero. Reading the room, Wu-chan suggests a truce. There's nothing to be won by shedding more blood here. Stunned, Kang Wu watches as the apprentice offers a bandage. "You're bleeding," he notes calmly. After a tense stare-down, Kang Wu rips the bandage from his hand and stalks away, leaving the chaos behind. Wu-chan watches the boy disappear, reflecting on the fact that he took on 3 attackers alone. He never imagined such a monster was lurking in his own school. But then, he notices his own arm is trembling from an injury. At a nearby PC cafe, Cassian hits a wall. His Lampus ID has expired. He expected this, but the frustration still boils over. Later, amidst the city lights, Cassian summons Moros to his side. He demands to know how Moros identified Wu-chan as a hero. Moros simply smirks, recalling the rooftop warrior. "The moment your paths crossed, I felt his essence," Moros explains. Cassian admits it's a handy trick, but the spirit scoffs. Moros reveals that by activating the Eye of Appraisal, Cassian can unlock the world's hidden secrets. Suspicious, Cassian asks how he knows so much. Moros claims to be a seeker of forbidden knowledge, and suggests Cassian embrace his destiny as a villain. Cassian falls into a deep, heavy silence. Moros senses his hesitation, but Cassian resolves to move forward. With only this dark power to lean on, he asks for the next step. Moros explains that it's a descent into the raw, unchecked chaos of one's own desires and rage. Cassian finds the concept cryptic, but the soul clarifies. For him, pure fury will be the key to awakening. "Anger," Cassian whispers. Every agonizing detail of the tragedy involving him and Jeff flashes before his eyes. He erupts into a primal scream, vowing to slaughter every last bastard at Lampus. Moros watches, bewildered by the sudden outburst. Cassian claims he is just venting, but the soul scolds him. "No need for noise, simply visualize the destruction within." "Why didn't you tell me that sooner?" Cassian snaps. Meanwhile, across the city, a man delivers a briefing inside a dark car. The villain known as Blaster is a pure psychopath. He lives for the explosion, savoring the carnage of his own twisted art. He slipped through Incheon Port illegally. Just this afternoon, he was spotted lurking within the Gangnam district. Wu-chan notes Blaster's body count has hit 102. His superior, B-rank knight, Lee Dae-won, casually grabs a snack. He admits Blaster's physical combat is mediocre, but his explosive-making ability, that is where the real nightmare begins. "The guy is a loose cannon with a fractured mind," Wu-chan coldly adds. "For a villain, there is only one solution: total annihilation. They are rabid animals who cannot control their urges. We must pull them out by the roots before they can strike." Dae-won chuckles, noting that the young man sounds truly terrifying whenever he talks about hunting down villains. Wu-chan insists that a hero's sole duty is justice. He is only stating facts. Dae-won just gives a knowing smile, telling the rookie to leave the grand justice to him. For now, the apprentice just needs to focus on helping out. Wu-chan stares back in cold silence. Meanwhile, back in the alley, a glowing system window flickers to life before Cassian. Moros explains it is a status window, revealed through the Eye of Appraisal. Cassian scoffs, saying it looks just like a video game. He points out Shadow Blade and Self-Heal. Moros clarifies these are the unique abilities he can wield right now. Self-Heal is already knitting the wound on his face shut. Cassian wonders aloud if he could regrow an entire severed limb. Moros believes so. The only limit to his regeneration is the amount of mana flowing through his veins. Those hidden powers are currently locked away. They will only manifest once his strength reaches a much higher threshold. Cassian grumbles about his measly 300 mana. He had over 1,500 as a hero. For a catastrophe class, this feels pathetic. Moros retorts that the class represents potential. He reminds Cassian that even the greatest diamond starts as a rough stone. Whether he remains a pebble or becomes a gem depends on his effort. Cassian then asks if his skills work on others. Moros confirms it is possible, but there is a catch. The skill can only be activated 3 times a day. He reminds Cassian that healing Jeff drained him so much he slept for 12 hours. Cassian silently weighs the risks. Moros suggests a field test for his primary skills. Cassian asks if he needs to shout the technique's name like a nerd. Moros tells him to simply visualize the Shadow Blade. "Like this?" Cassian asks, swiping his claws through the air. A dark blade erupts from the ground instantly. It worked perfectly, leaving Moros stunned by his natural talent. Cassian realizes he can actually grasp the shadow. Despite being made of darkness, it is sharper than any steel knife. Moros is speechless. He expected it to take a full day to manifest, never dreaming Cassian would master it in seconds. Did Jeff see this latent genius from the start? Cassian notes the blade's density is high enough to act as a shield. Moros then mentions that, as a villain, he should be able to manifest his own attire from the shadows. Cassian brushes it off, saying his current look is fine. Your fashion sense is trash, Moros mocks. Cassian tells him to shut it. As the sun dips below the horizon, Moros asks where they are headed. Home, Cassian replies, shocking the spectral entity. He explains that Kang Wu has a family. Both parents are gone, but he lives with his older sister, his Nuna. Moros asks if he really intends to face her. Cassian nods. He has to see her. He may be a catastrophe-class villain now, but his sister is his anchor. Moros asks if guilt is weighing on him. He died because of me, Cassian mutters. Suddenly, a thunderous explosion shatters the evening silence. Cassian whirls around to see a panicked crowd fleeing. A nearby skyscraper is being torn apart by a series of blasts. Terrified screams fill the air. It is a villain attack. The news and social media are already blowing up with reports. A mother and child have been captured. He's taking hostages, Cassian thinks, his eyes burning with rage as he looks up. Moros is stunned by Cassian's intensity. He screams for him to wait, but the protagonist is already sprinting toward the danger. Moros warns that this is a real villain, a monster far beyond the street thugs he crushed earlier. Their powers are beyond human comprehension. Then I'll just have to show him what a real villain looks like, Cassian declares. Moros reminds him of the unwritten rule. Villains do not hunt their own kind. As a former hero, he should know this. Unless it is personal, interfering is a declaration of war. By stepping in, Cassian is invading another predator's territory. This path brands him public enemy number 1. Even before facing Lampus, every villain in existence will be hunting his head. Stopping before the decaying ruins, Cassian's gaze never wavers. I'm perfectly fine with that, he declares coldly. Moros stands frozen in disbelief. He tries to protest, arguing that Cassian shouldn't be driven by some hollow hero's duty. This isn't about being a hero, Cassian snaps. There are lives at stake, a mother and child trapped in the crosshairs. Turning a blind eye is impossible now that I know. Moros falls silent, Jeff's old words echoing in his mind. They call him a mad dog with a lethal fuse. Yet, beneath that rage lies a heart warmer than anyone else's. That's why he has my faith. Moros realizes, then this is why he chose Cassian as the true successor. Then there's no more room for debate. Cassian, transform, Moros roars. I'll back you with everything I've got. Inside the Inferno, the toy store has become a graveyard. Shattered dreams and torn boxes litter the scorched floor. Desperation chokes the mother's voice as she pleads with the monster. Please, I beg of you, don't do this. Blaster smirks, a lethal bomb swirling in his palm. Don't cry, little one. Your tears spoil the fun we're creating. He demands a smile, treating this massacre like his pathetic debut as a C-rank bomber at some backwater gas station. Wu-chan stares at his bleeding arm by the car. He'd let his guard slip, but the sting humbles him. He doesn't even know his attacker's name. When his phone rings, he answers mechanically, only to be struck by shock. DeWong picks up, his voice hushed with apology. I'm tied up with work. I'll make it up with dinner later. He whispers sweet promises of his return. Nearby, Wu-chan lies, claiming he was just away in the restroom. The alert shatters the air, mobilization orders are in effect. The psychopath, known as Blaster, has surfaced in the city. Tell me, kid, have you ever seen 5-colored fireworks paint the midnight sky? The villain asks with a twisted grin. The boy whimpers a no. Blaster gasps in mock horror, calling such a lack of beauty a true tragedy. Don't worry, I'll show you something better, your mother's flesh and blood painting the sky in a glorious crimson explosion. A sickening thrill surges through the villain's veins. He tingles with an indescribable, sadistic ecstasy. He debates, starting with the limbs. He'll save the head as a souvenir, making the torso's destruction last much longer. Darkness suddenly swallows the room. The flickering lights die, plunging the scene into a heavy, suffocating silence. Annoyance flashes across Blaster's face before turning into a jagged grin. A guest? Don't be shy. Show me your power. Glass explodes as Cassian erupts into the room. Blaster spins, but he's met by a crushing fist that sends him flying. Acrid smoke curls from the crater of the impact. Through the haze, Cassian stares him down with eyes like ice. The hostages? Cassian demands. They're safe, Moros confirms, but a bomb latched onto Cassian begins its lethal countdown. Horror grips the room as the fuse hisses. Without a second's hesitation, Cassian bolts, desperate to lead the blast away. A violent explosion rocks the streets, raining debris on panicked civilians. Where are the heroes? The terrified crowd screams. The destruction is absolute. Blaster scoffs through the dust. Tsk. No manners at all, barging in without even knocking. Whoever that rude brat was, he's nothing but ash now. He must have made for one hell of a firework. A pity he died so quickly. But don't worry, you two will be the main attraction of tonight's grand finale. A glowing sphere of death ignites in his palm, then abruptly vanishes. Blaster's movement grinds to a sudden, violent halt. Crimson spray paints the villain's face. In a flash of darkness, his hand is severed cleanly from his wrist. Panic stammers in Blaster's throat as Cassian lunges. He seizes the villain's collar, slamming him into the ground. I knew it, Blaster snarls, desperately reaching for his power. But Cassian's iron grip clamps onto his wrist instantly. Did you think I'd fall for that twice, you bastard? Cassian roars, his fist shattering the villain's jaw. The foundations tremble under the relentless assault. Cassian unleashes a hurricane of strikes, reducing everything to dust. His mind blurs into a singular, violent urge to destroy. Cassian, stop! Moros cries out, sensing the shift. Rage had consumed him, but Moros's voice pierces the darkness. Cassian gasps, finally wrestling back control from the abyss. About time you heard me, Moros sighs, his voice heavy with relief. Cassian stares in horror at his blood-soaked hands. What did I do? You were lost in a frenzy, Moros warns. Pure emotion drowned your reason. A second longer, and you'd have become a monster driven only by bloodlust. This is bad, Cassian mutters, pressing a trembling hand against his throbbing eye. Pain flares through him like a white-hot blade. I'm fine, Cassian grunts. Hostages first. We finish this now. He approaches the pair, looming over them with a heavy presence. Cassian senses a chilling realization. The mother and son aren't just relieved, they're trembling in sheer terror of him. Hours later, the police arrive to haul away Blaster's lifeless remains. Dong confirms the heart-pounding news. The mother and child taken as hostages have been found safe. A deeper investigation is mandatory, but for now, it bears all the hallmarks of a violent territory dispute between rival villains. Eyewitness accounts point toward a mysterious, unidentified villain. Wu Chan's gaze falls upon a toy discarded on the floor, his heart sinking at the thought of a child being caught in such chaos. In his mind, hell is the only fitting end for such monsters. Yet, several officers whisper in confusion. Multiple witnesses claim a villain was the one who actually saved the hostages. Wu Chan interrupts the chatter with a stern apology, warning them that their current discussion must remain strictly confidential. De Wong barks orders to a young man, telling him to secure every inch of footage from the first-floor staff room immediately. The apprentice nods sharply, understanding the gravity of the task. He stares at the lonely teddy bear one last time before leaving it behind in a different, desolate corner of the city. Melancholy clouds Cassian's eyes as he gazes at the sky, haunted by the memory of that mother and son begging for mercy. He buries his face in his hands as Moros asks if something is eating at him. Cassian remains anchored in silence before finally admitting a dark truth. If it weren't for the spirit's intervention, he would have devolved into a mindless lunatic just like Blaster. Moros grimly confirms his fears, leaving the protagonist to stare upward, fully accepting his new reality as a true villain. Suddenly, the sharp buzz of a message breaks the silence. He pulls out his phone and begins to read. When Moros asks who's reaching out, Cassian reveals it's Kang Wu's sister, letting him know that dinner is waiting, and he needs to head home. The spirit wonders if he'll actually go, but a loud growl from the protagonist's stomach provides the answer. Meanwhile, back at the crime scene, De Wong is paralyzed with shock as he reviews the security footage. He questions his own sanity, wondering if his eyes are failing him. No matter how many times he watches, the villain was clearly protecting the hostages. It felt like some twisted hidden camera prank. Wu Chan watches the screen with growing apprehension from the quiet of his apartment building. Inside room 701, Cassian finds himself standing before a spread of food and a handwritten note. He picks up the paper with care. The instructions tell him to heat the rice and stir-fry in the microwave, adding that she even bought fresh fruit for the fridge. She mentioned trying her hand at cooking today, playfully signing off as the cutest sister in the entire world. The warmth triggers a memory from his childhood at the orphanage, where a stern woman once scolded him for being late. Back then, children who missed the dinner bell were left to starve, until a small piece of bread was thrust into Cassian's hands. Cassian had whispered Jeff's name, and the boy told him to eat quickly before the director caught them. The young protagonist had devoured that bread with a smile of pure gratitude. He gazes at the note with a rare fondness before setting the meal on the table and taking a seat. Cassian lifts a spoonful, the steam rising as he takes his first bite. A soft comment escapes him. It's delicious. It had been an eternity since someone had prepared a meal specifically for him. He offers a silent thanks for the food. Eventually, a new day dawns, and the shrill ring of an alarm clock shatters Cassian's slumber. He slowly forces his eyes open, staring blankly at the ceiling of his new life. Moments later, he's in the bathroom, a surge of irritation bubbling within him. Brushing his teeth, the young man stares into the mirror, struggling to recognize the reflection that was supposed to be him, but wasn't. It was a surreal struggle, trying to believe he was truly inhabiting the life of a complete stranger. He had hoped sleep would bring clarity, but the weight remained. If there was any way to turn back the clock to his past, he would take it in a heartbeat. Moros offers a cheerful morning greeting, though the protagonist snaps back that there's nothing good about it as he kicks on his sneakers. His sister's voice rings out, asking if he's already heading to school. She chides him, saying he should at least say goodbye before disappearing. Meeting her like this feels incredibly strange to Cassian. He briefly considers confessing that he isn't her real brother, but Yuri interrupts, saying she almost forgot something important. She reaches out and hands him the credit card they had discussed previously. She promises to deposit his allowance and warns him to be frugal, leaving the protagonist wondering where she got the funds. Clutching the card, a foreign memory begins to surface. Not long ago, the original owner had called his sister, desperately begging for next month's allowance ahead of schedule. Yuri had been skeptical, noting it had only been a week since the last payment. Kang Wu, remembering the delinquents who shook him down, had lied and told her he lost his wallet. Yuri had softened, telling him it was fine, but only because he had asked her so sincerely. Kang Wu had thanked her profusely, and she followed up by promising to set up a credit card for his use, a gesture that left the boy in awe. The pieces finally click for Cassian as he realizes the history behind the plastic in his hand. He gives his sister a quiet thanks. Yuri tells him to be careful with the card and have a good day, but then she pauses, squinting as she notices he looks different. She points out his new hairstyle, remarking that he looks like a completely different person. He didn't get the haircut she suggested, but the change in style was striking. Yuri playfully teases if he's finally found a girlfriend, but the protagonist simply brushes it off and makes his exit for school. Later, within the walls of first-year classroom 3, whispers erupt among the students as they wonder what on earth happened to him. Stunned by the sight, the blonde punk clutched the bandage on his face. Rage flared in his eyes as he snapped, glaring daggers at the girls whispering nearby. "What are you looking at?" he snarled, demanding to know if they had a death wish. Inside, he cursed that little brat for this humiliation. Suddenly, a heavy hand gripped his shoulder. He spun around, ready to lash out, only to freeze. Cassian was standing right there, looming like a shadow. The protagonist coolly asked where his desk was. Trembling with sheer terror, the blonde guy stammered and pointed toward an empty seat. Cassian dropped his bag and claimed his spot. Moros whispered, asking if he could feel the intense, murderous glare coming from the back. Meanwhile, the classroom was buzzing with rumors. The students whispered nervously about a ruthless villain haunting their neighborhood. One student claimed to have witnessed the carnage firsthand. Moros chuckled, realizing they were definitely talking about him. The gossip grew darker, mentioning a chilling serial killer incident. The victim was a young high school girl, a tragedy that sent shivers down their spines. Another student whispered about the gruesome details found in the papers, dismemberment, and blood drinking. It was the work of a true monster, a villain. The name Driver surfaced, the notorious boss of the Ville Zone in the Gadam district. He was a shadow over the city. Cassian wondered if an autonomous villain district truly existed in Gadam. The students added that Driver was rumored to be conducting horrific human experiments. "I hope those monsters rot in hell," one student spat. Cassian remained indifferent, his eyes fixed silently on his phone. In the city streets, a delinquent burst into mocking laughter. "That's hilarious," he wheezed, while the purple-haired guy, Kune, told him to shut his mouth. The punk fired back, mocking Kune for acting tough after getting his pride crushed by a total loser. Kune warned him to drop the jokes. Daigu stepped in, crushing his cigarette into the pavement with a cold, calculated gaze. Daigu pondered aloud if they should just team up and eliminate the guy. Kune nodded, unable to let such an insult slide. He slid an envelope over, promising a hefty reward for the job. Deu grinned greedily, unaware a nerdy student was watching from the shadows. The nerd recognized him as Gihun's childhood friend. He shuddered, deciding it was best to keep his head down and stay away. Dae threw an arm around Kune's shoulder, acting like a true brother. "I'll take care of this itch for you," he promised. "Just give the word. Should I just break his bones? Or end him for good?" After school, a voice called out to the protagonist, cutting through the silence. Woo-chan Kim stood before him, looking concerned. He admitted he didn't know his name yet, and asked how his injuries were healing. Cassian gestured toward the bandage on his face, telling him to judge for himself. Moros watched the exchange, completely baffled. After all, Cassian had applied that bandage despite his wounds being fully closed. Moros wondered why he was bothering with the charade. Cassian explained that it would look suspicious if he healed too quickly. Moros realized the protagonist was already playing a deep game of chess. "What do you want?" the protagonist asked bluntly. "Are you offering to pay my medical bills?" Wu-chan paused, deep in thought. He suggested a different kind of favor instead. Cassian let out a faint, amused smirk, claiming he had no need for such things. Wu-chan asked for his name once more. The protagonist introduced himself with a steady voice. Guan Gang Hu. Wu-chan whispered the name to himself as if etching it into memory. Outside, Cassian muttered that the encounter was strange, ignoring Moros' teasing. The ghost assumed he was right. Cassian then revealed the truth. That was Woo-chan Kim, a gifted user of pyrokinesis. With his striking looks and towering height, he looked more like a K-pop idol than a student. He was a top-tier Class A student with a flawless record. In the hero world, he was considered the ultimate rising star. That's what the internet says about him, Cassian noted. Moros smirked, asking if the protagonist felt a sting of jealousy. The protagonist replied that the boy's idol was a man with the exact same powers, a hero he strove to surpass. That idol was none other than the legendary S-rank hero, Cassian Lee. Cassian mused that a talent like him belonged in an elite academy. Suddenly, Moros glanced back and realized they weren't alone. A group of delinquents was tailing them from the shadows. "These fools never learn," the ghost hissed. One of the thugs whispered into his phone, updating his boss on their target's location. On the other side of the school grounds, Daegu waited for the report. He demanded to know the current status of the hunt. Kune confirmed they were in pursuit. He remarked that even bottom feeders like them seemed to follow orders when money was involved. Daegu flicked his cigarette and signaled his crew to move out. Meanwhile, Cassian walked calmly into a desolate part of the city, never once looking back. The blonde scout felt a cold sweat breaking. This situation was getting more twisted by the second. He wondered why the idiot was heading toward the villain district. Suddenly, a voice boomed behind him, sending the blonde crashing to the dirt in fear. Day loomed over him, barking in fury at the delay. The blonde stammered, trying to explain that this wasn't part of the plan. Kune demanded to know where the target had vanished to. Shaking, the blonde pointed toward a nearby alleyway. But as they looked, the protagonist was nowhere to be seen. The others growled, seeing nothing but an empty, silent street. The blonde insisted he was just there, but the nerd pointed toward a narrow path. "He went down that alley. We have to catch him before he escapes." The blonde-haired boy desperately begs them to stop, realizing they're heading straight toward the dangerous villain district. This is a nightmare, he thinks, praying they'll listen. Yet the group marches on until they reach a hotel. Dave snarls, demanding to know where that brat disappeared to since they've hit a total dead end. Kithun questions the route, and when the nerd confirms it, the delinquent delivers a brutal kick to his leg, snarling if he's playing games. The boy collapses in agony. Day rages, accusing him of making a fool of them, until a chilling voice echoes, "Were you looking for me?" Everyone whirls around, coming face to face with Cassian. He calmly remarks that, if they were searching for him, they've come to the right place. High above, a hidden camera monitors the confrontation, capturing every tense second from a bird's-eye view. The lens zooms in on Cassian's stoic expression. Inside, a dark control room, a mysterious man hums while watching the monitor intently. He scribbles a few notes before kicking his feet onto the desk, smirking. "Looks like our boy has some uninvited guests." Back at the scene, Daegu scoffs. Noting that the brat doesn't even look rattled, he clearly has no idea what's coming. "Are you the one who touched Kai-hyun?" he asks. Cassian responds with nothing but a piercing, icy glare. Daegu sneers, demanding respect. He gives Cassian 3 seconds to kiss his feet, or he'll send him straight to the afterlife. He begins the countdown. 1, 2. But even at 3, Cassian doesn't flinch. The thugs are stunned by his sheer audacity. "You're begging for a beating, aren't you?" Doe snarls. Cassian simply looks him in the eye and tells him to bring it on. The delinquent hesitates, but before he can blink, 2 fingers strike his face. He collapses instantly, screaming in pure agony about his eyes. Cassian seizes his hair and slams his head into the wall with sickening force. The others watch, horrified, as Daegu is knocked out instantly. As the body slumps, Cassian mutters under his breath, "Why were you standing so close, you damn idiot?" Enraged, Daegu's chubby lackey roars and charges blindly. But Cassian effortlessly sidesteps the attack like it's nothing. Another heavy fist swings toward him, but Cassian evades it again. His expression remains completely bored and unbothered. The guy throws a final desperate punch, but Cassian vanishes behind him. A swift low kick to the calf sends the underling crashing down. As the thug grovels in the dirt, Cassian sighs. "I really planned on going easy on you guys today, but you're truly getting on my nerves." He delivers a brutal stomp, then turns to the rest, asking if they're just going to watch. Suddenly, Daegu staggers back to his feet, cursing his subordinates for being such pathetic slowpokes. He erupts into a maniacal laugh, claiming Cassian is dead meat. Cassian just watches, wondering if he was actually too soft on him. Daegu takes a professional Muay Thai stance, revealing his status as a national runner-up. Kai-hyun smirks, thinking Cassian's luck has finally run out. His friends watch with bated breath, but Cassian remains perfectly still, facing the high-level fighter without a hint of fear. In a flashback, 2 seniors mock Cassian, claiming he's easy prey, until Jack suddenly interrupts their arrogant talk. The 2 explain that they're just training the rookie who was running late, treating him like a mere punching bag. But Jack's sharp eyes notice something terrifying. The opponent's blows are only ever landing on Cassian's impenetrable guard. Jack asks why there's no protective gear being used. The senior scoffs, saying a rookie like him doesn't need it. But Jack wasn't worried about the rookie. He was worried about them. This was Cassian Lee, the youngest top graduate in the history of the elite combat training agency. A master of hand-to-hand combat, Cassian had a legendary record. He had never lost a single one-on-one duel in his life. The seniors are shocked to learn his power isn't magic or pyrokinesis. Suddenly, a thunderous crash echoes through the training hall. They turn just in time to see Cassian utterly crush his opponent. Back in the present, Dayu is sent flying into a wall by a devastating strike. Cassian stands tall over his fallen foe. The remaining delinquents begin to tremble as the true gap in power becomes clear. Dayu struggles to rise, but Cassian's palm slams into his face, gripping his skull with overwhelming, crushing strength. Pathetic wannabes, he thinks. They only act tough because no one ever put them in their place. Against true strength, they'd never dare crawl out. If he had been stronger back then, Jeff and Kang Wu wouldn't have had to suffer through all that hell. He vows to become truly invincible, gaining enough power to make the entire world tremble in his presence. Overcome by terror, Kai-Hyun shouts for the group to retreat immediately. The blonde boy turns to flee, but a blood-curdling scream escapes his throat as a figure descends from the sky. It's Driver, wielding his lethal mechanical tools. A B+ rank mechanical villain has arrived. The boys scream his name in horror, while Driver maintains a twisted, eerie grin. Kai-Hyun shakes violently, screaming for everyone to run for their lives before things get even more bloodier. Daegu begs them not to abandon him, but Cassian simply stares at the new threat. High above, Driver lets out a sinister smirk. Moros questions why the protagonist is facing a man with a screwdriver. Driver lands, asking if he looks cool. Sheathing the tool on his back, Driver claims he only wanted to offer some help, but he clearly misjudged the situation. Cassian coldly rejects the offer, causing the villain to break into laughter. Driver calls him rude, demanding to know if Cassian truly doesn't recognize who he is, but Cassian simply labels him the screwdriver guy, a remark that deeply wounds the villain's pride. Suddenly, the screwdriver morphs into a massive cannon, catching the protagonist completely by surprise. Driver warns that trespassing on his turf has consequences. He fires, but only a cloud of petals erupts. Laughing hysterically, Driver calls it a joke, though he promises the next shot will be no laughing matter. Cassian remains emotionless as he turns to leave, leaving a baffled Driver to shout after him. The villain seethes at being ignored. As Cassian heads home, Moros warns that the encounter was incredibly dangerous. Moros calculates their power is equal, yet insists they cannot win. Regardless, Cassian suddenly shifts his direction. Surprised by the change, Moros watches as the protagonist stops and places his hands against a wall. Moros thinks he's shaken and suggests training later, but Cassian asks if the Eye of Wisdom can track him. This was the perfect chance to fight a superior foe. To Cassian, life or death combat is the only way to evolve. He refuses to let such a golden opportunity for growth slip through his fingers. Back in the alley, Driver mimics Cassian's kick. Realizing those moves weren't ordinary, he demands to know his identity. The kid wasn't even afraid. While high schoolers today are terrifying, a dark presence suddenly looms behind him. Driver spins around, coming face to face with a transformed and menacing Cassian closing the distance. Impressed, Driver barely guards as Cassian's claws send him flying. The villain instantly enters a high alert state. Dark energy surges through Cassian's claws, creating lethal blades of shadow that force Driver to scramble away. Taking flight, Driver proves his skill. He spins his tool, using a summon art to enlarge the massive screwdriver. Moro screams a warning as the villain manifests his soul-bound weapon, drastically raising the stakes. Driver quips about the danger before unleashing a blast, eager to repay the favor for the earlier strike. A sinister smile spreads across Driver's face as his conductor beam streaks forward with blinding speed. A violent explosion rocks the area, making distant villains wonder what kind of monster is currently fighting. Driver is stunned to see Cassian still alive, having parried the lethal beam with his shadowy blade. Moros detects mana over 1,000 triple Cassian's power, but the protagonist simply watches with lethal focus. Moros demands attention, but Cassian ignores him, anticipating a truly thrilling and fun slaughter. While Moros doubts their survival, Driver commends the block, wondering if he was simply being too merciful. Without another word, Driver lunges forward again, aiming his massive weapon directly at Cassian's heart. Predicting the blow, Cassian leaps and dodges. Driver pursues relentlessly, launching slashes that the protagonist expertly evades. Driver seethes internally, unable to believe this brat is effortlessly outmaneuvering his most calculated strikes. It feels like he's reading my mind. Who is this? A master this skilled should be world famous. He strikes again, suspecting this boy killed Blaster, but the blow is caught by a wall of claws. Absolute shock takes hold of Driver as he realizes his primary weapon is starting to crack. Driver's eyes glow crimson as he fires a laser. Cassian reacts instantly, tripping the villain into the dirt. This is pathetic. Driver snarls while scrambling up, screaming that a combat expert won't be humiliated. Backing away, Driver readies his mechanical arm, charging a devastating secondary attack to end this duel. As the mechanical strike roars forward, Cassian counters with a flick, unleashing a swarm of obsidian daggers. The darkness shreds through metal. Before Driver can blink, Cassian teleports above him, delivering a crushing punch. This kid is no joke. His fighting style feels ancient and lethal, unlike anything the villain has seen. No mere student could possess such efficiency. This is the precision of a trained, high-ranking professional. Reinforcements arrive as shadows flicker. A-rank Crow and B-rank Ready teleport to Driver's side to assist. Behind Cassian, B-rank Blackhand emerges, mocking Driver for looking so haggard against a mere high schooler. Surrounded by elites, Cassian just smirks, mocking Driver for calling backup after being wrecked in their duel. Crow scoffs, mocking Driver for looking so pathetically beaten. Driver snaps back that he hasn't lost yet, though his men joke about his clear defeat. Blackhand watches in disbelief, wondering how an amateur took Driver down before questioning Cassian's motives. Cassian stands firm, declaring he seeks strength and won't let a mindless killer roam free. The logic completely baffles Driver. Crow scoffs at the serial killer mention, claiming taking a murderer's head is just business. Driver realizes they've been misled by false rumors, frustrated that no one believes his innocence. Blackhand's bloodlust rises as he threatens the arrogant brat, but Driver interrupts with a cold truth. "I'm not the killer you want," Driver states, admitting he has no proof beyond his word. Suddenly, a sharp pain stabs Cassian's head, and Blackhand sees the perfect opening to strike. Activating the gauntlets of perdition, he lunges forward, cursing the boy to rot in hell. The ground shatters from the impact, but Cassian slips away, disgusted by such a cowardly move. Blackhand freezes in shock as the boy calls him out for being backstabbing trash. Another desperate strike misses as Cassian vanishes, dismissing his opponent as a brainless fool. A devastating claw strike connects, sending Blackhand flying while the other villains watch in utter silence. Red-Eye trembles, realizing a mere kid just neutralized the number 3 powerhouse of the villain district. Moros checks on the staggering protagonist, while Driver notes the boy's world is clearly spinning. The glasses reveal the cause. His power level wasn't even 300 before it spiked uncontrollably. Crow can't believe the limit of his power, while Red-Eye suspects he's just a lowly rank D. Confusion fills the air. How could a bottom-tier ranker pull off such a feat? Blackhand's mana was beyond rank B, yet he fell in one hit. Driver tells them to calm down. He explains that rank isn't everything. Raw strength and lightning reflexes can bridge the gap. Cassian was the exception, a fighter whose combat instincts far surpassed his physical limits. He was a masterpiece of efficiency, a high-quality machine tuned for absolute destruction. Driver reveals a shimmering crystal from his tools, catching Cassian's eye immediately. He explains how villains consume these magic crystals to force their power to new heights. He tosses the glowing gem toward the protagonist, offering it as a dark temptation. Cassian questions the motive, but Driver's proposal for a deal is met with cold indifference. Driver claims he hates injustice too, asking the boy to hunt the real killer in his stead. The crystal is a down payment for the contract, leaving the choice entirely in Cassian's hands. Driver insists on his innocence, prompting Cassian to ask why he won't clear his own name. "Everyone has secrets," Driver mutters, as a heavy silence falls between the two warriors. Back home, Cassian contemplates the gem, while Moros explains the difference between crystal types. Natural Jinn crystals are rare treasures, while these man-made magic crystals are dangerous shortcuts. It's not the legendary Jinn variant, but it's enough to boost his stagnant magic reserves. Moros issues a stern warning. He must only consume it while in his villain form. Cassian shifts his grip from human hands to lethal claws, confirming the crystal's authenticity. He hesitates, remembering Jeff's warnings about the corruption that comes with eating such things. He swallows it, but nothing happens at first, leading Moros to tell him to be patient. Suddenly, a violent surge of energy erupts, and shadows begin to wrap around his body. Moros panics, urging him to stay calm as the boy's physical form begins to evolve. His claws sharpen into deadly blades as an aura of pure magical energy explodes outward. The rush is intoxicating. A single crystal has filled him with an overwhelming sense of power. Now he sees why villains crave this cheat code, and he asks Moros to check his stats. The tension dies down, leaving Cassian annoyed that all that pain only netted him 50 measly points. Moros is stunned by the word only. Even the most powerful villains barely gain 5 or 10 points from the rarest magic crystals. A 50-point jump would be the highest ever recorded in history. That is a 500% increase, proving this crystal is terrifyingly efficient. Even for a catastrophe-class being, this is utterly absurd. Cassian notices a new entry among his hidden skills: magic crystal extraction. He demands to know how it works, and Moros explains the name says it all. He can now pull magic power from weapons, including those forged from Jinn crystals. Cassian scoffs at the fancy name for a lame skill, irritating Moros. This ability is unique to him alone. It grants him an endless supply of magic crystals. Cassian realizes he needs to track down weapons forged from these crystals immediately. Over at a donut shop in the Sunshin department store, Dewang proudly displays a new blade, finally obtaining his own signature weapon. It bore the majestic name, the Sword of the Great Bear and Four Tigers. He prods Wuchan for a reaction, but his disciple merely calls it beautiful. Dewang boasts that it was forged from 2 top-tier magic crystals, making it an elite masterpiece. Wuchan sets the blade aside, focused on finding the mystery villain who dared to face Blaster. Dewang grumbles about the sudden topic change. He had scrubbed the databases clean, but found absolutely nothing. This is a ghost, a brand new threat. Wuchan wonders if he is an unregistered hero, but Dewang finds that doubtful. The man's aura and characteristics suggested something far more sinister. Besides, they had bigger problems. The GAM special team was on red alert due to a brutal serial killer. Wuchan asks if Driver is the culprit. While he was the prime suspect, Dewang remains unconvinced. The apprentice is baffled, asking for proof. Dewang notes that if gadgets or sports cars were involved, it would be Driver's style. This killer's methods were different. Still, Wuchan argues that Driver is an unpredictable, localized madman. Dewang sips his coffee, noting the murders were carried out in cold blood. While that points toward a villain, madness is not exclusive to them. Even a normal person could be the monster. Elsewhere, a studio photo shoot is in full swing. The photographer demands a cuter, more daring expression from the models. The 2 girls strike a pose together as the photographer showers them with praise. The session ends with smiles, but outside, Naun sighs as she checks the time. It is already 7 in the evening. She hoped to visit the stationery shop for a limited edition bottle, but her schedule is tight. She notices Minyong standing nearby. Naun approaches her, surprised to see she hasn't left for home yet. Minyong hesitates for a moment before dragging her friend toward a nearby claw machine. Naun is skeptical about playing so late. Minyong insists it has been far too long since their last outing. She begs for just one quick game. Naun eventually gives in, agreeing to 1 round before heading home. From the darkness, cold eyes track their every move. The killer's lips curl into a sickening grin. The next morning, news reports flood the airwaves about the GAM Special Forces hunting the elusive murderer. Cassian notes that 3 victims have already been claimed. Moros asks if he will finally accept Driver's deal. The protagonist dismisses the proposal, but cannot ignore the cold-blooded slaughter of innocents. He refuses to stand by while a monster roams free. Moros falls silent, sensing his resolve. Random killings like these are rare nowadays. The only lead is that every murder happened within the Gadam district. Moros reminds him of the device Driver provided earlier. Cassian recalls the day they struck their deal. Driver had handed him the tool, claiming they needed a secure line. It was a closed system for texts and files only, free of GPS tracking to ensure his privacy. Despite Cassian's initial refusal, Driver promised to send intel on the killer through this untraceable link. He offered the protagonist full support for this specific hunt. Catching the killer was Driver's final request for now. Cassian stares at the phone sitting in his room. He starts to enter the password but hesitates. He slams the device down, his pride warring with his mission. Exchanging messages with a villain feels like a betrayal of his principles. Moros watches as he prepares to leave. Cassian won't rot in his room. If he can't find a lead here, he will scour the streets himself. At the arcade, Minyong cheers as her friend nearly grabs a prize. Naon watches intensely, but the claw slips at the last second. Na-Yune grumbles while Minyong offers a pitying look. Empty-handed again, Na-Yune insists they leave despite the urge to stay. Her friend notes it isn't even 8 yet. A distant drone watches as Na-Yune complains about her overprotective brother's strict curfew. Minyong pales, begging to stay longer. Sensing her terror, Na-Yune asks what's really going on. Trembling with pure terror, the girl finally chokes out the truth. She saw it. Their classmate was murdered recently, and Minyong witnessed the entire grisly scene with her own eyes. Na-Yune presses for details, but Minyong is paralyzed. She's certain the killer is coming for her next. Na-Yune snaps her into reality. They must go to the police immediately, and she won't leave her side. They have to run. If that monster saw her face, they are both marked for death. They dash for the exit, but heavy metal shutters slam shut, sealing them inside the arcade. Na-Yune looks down in horror. The tiles are gone, replaced by blood. A chilling voice echoes. Met again. The girls spin around as the blood churns, twisting into a terrifying, semi-humanoid nightmare. As Minyong panics, Na-Yune shields her. Above, Cassian watches as B-rank villain Blood Rain mocks the foolish child. Cassian stays silent, ignoring Moros' claim that aimless wandering won't solve a thing. The protagonist snaps back, telling the spirit to stay home if he's only going to be a nuisance. But Moros explains their souls are bound. Suddenly, the phone in Cassian's pocket begins to ring. He wonders who it is, while Moros mocks his warrior's pride. Isn't that the phone the driver gave? Cassian threatens to trash it if it's more nonsense, but the message on the screen freezes him. Inside the arcade, the girls tremble before a smiling monster. Na Yune notices a drone hovering nearby. This is the cold-blooded killer Min Young saw. Terrified, the girl whispers, wondering how they will survive. Na Yune remembers her brother, Wu Chan, handing her a small device, an emergency panic button. He warned her never to use it as a joke, only if her life was in danger. Realizing the stakes, she slams the button. Please, brother, you better get here fast. Blood Rain offers the inferior creatures eternal rest. Na Yune snaps back, calling him a delusional psychopath. She tells him to seek that rest himself. The villain's smile fades as he calls her an insolent brat. As he approaches, Na Yune tries to stall for time, desperately questioning his motives for these killings. After a heavy silence, Blood Rain laughs. He doesn't need a reason to do what he enjoys. Na Yune realizes he's truly insane. The monster decides to answer her naive question after all. He lives for the scent of fresh blood and tearing life apart. It is his only truth. Na Yune tells him to stay back, warning that her brother will be here any second. Her brother is a powerhouse. It would only take him 3 seconds to crush a monster like you. Blood Rain just grins, thoroughly amused by the thought of this super strong brother. He wonders how that brother will react to finding his dear sister's drained, lifeless corpse. The girls freeze in terror. Let's begin, he whispers, unleashing a devastating energy blast. Na Yune gasps as it tears past her. The blast slams directly into Min Young. The girl collapses instantly as Na Yune spins around in shock. She screams her friend's name, rushing to her side and desperately begging her to keep breathing. Blood Rain looms over her, declaring she's next. Her death will be a sweet gift for her brother. A roar echoes as the room explodes with light. The door shatters as a figure bursts inside. The protagonist steps forward. Here's a little present for you, villain. With a shadow claw, he launches a dark blade of energy. Blood Rain barely ducks the strike. Before the villain recovers, Cassian is already charging. Blood Rain braces himself for the impact. Cassian blocks the counterblow, but a sudden tremor runs through his hand. He stops his assault, leaving Blood Rain baffled. The villain demands to know who he is. Na Yune watches in shock. Is this her brother's rival, or another villain entirely? Blood Rain's eyes narrow. He wonders if this boy is the one who took down Blaster. This is about to get intense. Blood Rain declares a temporary retreat, but leaves a chilling warning she shouldn't mistake this moment for safety. Cassian feels the weight of the threat. The villain vows that her life belongs to him now, promising an agonizing end that will haunt Naon forever. Cassian lunges forward with a roar, demanding to know where he thinks he's going, but his fingers only grasp at the cold, lingering blood. By the time he makes contact, the killer has already vanished into thin air. Cassian can only grit his teeth in frustration, cursing the missed opportunity. As he scans the shadows, Naon calls out through desperate tears. She begs him for one final favor to save her dying friend before it's too late. Meanwhile, De Wong races to the scene, asking Wu Chan if he thinks their sister's panic signal was just some twisted joke. Wu Chan knows better. If it were a prank, she would have called by now. His sister isn't the type to play games with her life. Dong confirms the police are already en route to the location. Wu Chan can only pray that his sister is still breathing when they arrive. Back at the community arcade, Naon frantically alerts the ambulance services. She screams that there's a patient in critical condition who needs help immediately. Cassian knows they can't wait for the sirens. The bleeding has to stop right now. He demands a cloth, anything that can stretch, to create a tourniquet. The girl frantically digs through her bag before handing him a small bundle. What are these? Cassian asks, only for Naon to reply that they're stretchy socks. Without hesitation, the protagonist binds them tightly around Min Young's waist. He then turns to his inner guide to check her status. Moros asks if he really needs the Eye of Wisdom to see the obvious. He reveals that despite the carnage, nothing fatal has been struck yet. She's clinging to life by a thread. The protagonist breathes a sigh of relief. He assures a trembling Naon that her friend will survive, noting the rapid arrival of the emergency teams. He stabilized the wound with expert first aid, leaving the professional paramedics to handle the rest of the recovery. Naon whispers her thanks, surprised to see him turning away so soon. She asks if he's really leaving already. The protagonist confirms his exit, knowing his presence would only terrify the responders and delay her treatment. Gathering his energy, Cassian prepares to move. In a flash, he vanishes from the arcade and begins leaping across the city's rooftops. Moros reflects on how lucky those girls were to be found. If Cassian hadn't arrived exactly when he did, both of them would be corpses. Suddenly, the protagonist senses a lingering presence following his trail. He vaults onto another rooftop, annoyed by the persistent shadow. He demands to know what kind of creature has been stalking him this whole time. A sharp whistle cuts through the air, and Crow's legs dangle from the ledge above. The mysterious woman reveals herself atop the building. She scoffs at their reunion, asking if he's already forgotten her face. The mere thought of being ignored makes her want to kill him on the spot. The protagonist remembers her clearly the woman who served Driver. He retorts that it's only been a few hours, making her impossible to forget. Driver offers a nod of thanks for the recognition. Crow approaches with an icy stare, demanding to know the stranger's identity. She introduces herself as Crow, a fitting name for a scavenger. When she asks for his name, the protagonist admits he hasn't chosen a villain alias yet. Cassian realizes he's never actually put much thought into his professional criminal identity. He shifts the focus, asking about the tracking device. Crow explains that Driver uses them to monitor areas where high-level killers like BloodRain strike. The data collected allowed them to pinpoint the killer's movements with lethal precision. That's how they knew exactly who was behind the arcade massacre. Cassian questions the killer's background. Crow identifies him as BloodRain, a nomadic murderer who has left a trail of bodies across the entire country. She admits she had her suspicions about his involvement, but his elusive nature made him nearly impossible to track until now. She hints at internal issues within their organization, but warns Cassian to forget she mentioned them unless he wants to lose his life. She won't do anything to upset Driver's plans. Meanwhile, the mechanic simply watches the chaos unfold like it's a movie scene. Remembering her mission, she mentions that Driver sent her with a delivery. He'll explain the full situation once the current dust settles. With a flick of her wrist, she tosses a small, mysterious box toward the protagonist. Cassian questions the contents, and she reveals it's the first part of his promised reward. Inside lie 3 high-grade magic crystals, shimmering with immense power. These are top-tier gems, far more valuable than he expected. As the exchange ends, a new dawn begins to rise over the sleeping city. Morning news broadcasts are already flooded with reports of the previous night's atrocities. The villainous BloodRain has struck again. The reporter notes that thanks to the heroes who arrived, there were no deaths. The high school girl is currently stable and recovering in the hospital. At home, Yuri watches Kang Wu prepare for his day, asking if he's heading off to school already. She reminds him to stay vigilant, warning that the streets have become far too dangerous for ordinary people lately. As he walks through the city, Cassian reflects on his journey. It's been several days since he took over Kang Wu-chan's weak body. To get his ultimate revenge on Lampas, he must grow stronger. Though he's unsure if he can truly trust the one-eyed Moros or his new villain allies, he stares at the 3 high-quality magic crystals, wondering why they would give him such a massive reward so early. Clutching a crystal, he questions if this is truly just a simple payment, or the beginning of a much deeper trap. Crow asks if it's enough. The protagonist smirks, claiming it's more than sufficient. BloodRain is a monster. Your current magic won't survive a clash with him. Driver hid a micro-GPS inside. Use it if you're ever in a pinch. There's more. Driver compiled a list of BloodRain's recent sightings for investigation. Driver expects nothing from him. Disappoint her, and he'll face her terrifying wrath. Cassian snaps back, questioning the twisted motives behind their dark, cryptic schemes. Moros warns they're off course. The protagonist ignores him, focused on his hidden goal. Data points to COI high. Even those girls from yesterday are students there. Clues await there. Moros asks if he really intends to hunt the killer solo. He'll do what's necessary. But one detail from yesterday keeps gnawing at him. It was Nune. She's the sister of the most popular student at his school. He needs a cover. Calling the school, he fakes a cold to stay home. At the hospital, Wu-chan waits. Dong brings coffee, noting his partner's exhaustion. Non finally fell asleep. Wu-chan asks if the case report reveals anything. CCTV was a dead end. Every camera in that area was systematically destroyed. Still, it screams BloodRain. He drains victims dry while leaving bodies intact. These damn victims were mutilated. They initially ruled him out because of carnage. It can't be him. Wu-chan suspects the villain savior is their true target. Silence falls. Non truly believes that mysterious figure was her savior, not a monster. If he's a villain, he's broken. Why else would he save his own sister? Dong agrees. This matches the blaster case. They must unmask this mysterious savior. Wu-chan stares blankly. Nearby, Cassian lurks, scouting the girls' school for prey. Moros complains about the walk. Inside, Cassian grabs a drink to blend in. He watches girls flirting with the clerk, asking if he's a professional model. The clerk humbly declines, claiming he's a student. The girls press for details. Cassian interrupts to pay. The clerk flashes a charming, suspiciously perfect smile. The register chirps. As Cassian pays, he spots something chilling on the counter. The Bride of Corinth. The realization hits. Nearby, an old man asks for scraps. The clerk offers help, intentionally brushing his shoulder against Cassian as he passes. Moros senses the shift. They watch the clerk from the shadows, eyes narrowed. Outside, Moros stops Cassian. He has something urgent to say about the clerk. He's a villain, Cassian says, shocking Moros. Those eyes confirmed everything. Moros doubts he's BloodRayne, but Cassian points to the vampire novel. It's a classic vampire tale of bloodlust hidden behind tragedy. You must lose your life to him. Cassian recognizes that haunting book. Quote, Moros is impressed. Cassian reveals he spent his orphanage days buried in books. Sipping his drink, he wonders if they've finally drawn the Joker. The clerk closes shop. Cassian sticks to the shadows, tailing his every move. Moros tracks the path they're heading straight towards CO High School for Girls. Suddenly, a car swerves toward the elder. Cassian's eyes widen as he reacts. He lunges, pulling the man to safety. The panicked driver checks on them. The elder is safe, but BloodRayne has already vanished into the night. Cassian scowls. In a dark alley, Moros wonders why he's transforming here. No rooftops are accessible nearby. This cramped alley is his only option. He swallows the crystal. Light erupts as his power surges to terrifying levels. Analyze it with the eye of wisdom, Moros urges. 2 brand new skills have finally awakened for Cassian: hidden shadows and shadow movement, the fruits of his labor. Moros explains that his rising points triggered this awakening. New abilities only unlock through spell points. Back when Cassian was a hero, simple training was all he needed. My points are only at 470, he growls, despite devouring 3 magic crystals already. Moros warns that his body is developing a tolerance. Soon, these crystals will grant him almost nothing. Cassian scoffs. If magic crystals were a shortcut to ultimate power, they wouldn't be so easily obtained. He can't rely on crystals forever. He needs a new path. Moros, show me BloodRayne's stats now. Moros hesitates, warning that he's hit his limit. Using it again will plunge him into total unconsciousness. The status window flickers open. Hypnosis and mind control. Could these be how that bastard managed to escape? With a mind attribute, Moros says these skills are natural. Cassian narrows his eyes, whispering, hypnosis. Defeating him won't be easy. Meanwhile, at the deserted city hospital, crimson energy erupts from a dark room. The floor is slick with gore. BloodRayne is weaving a web, enslaving his loyal servants. Twisted smiles spread as BloodRayne issues a chilling command. Bring me that child. Dusk soon falls. In a quiet hotel room, Naun sits vigil by Minyoung's bedside, her heart heavy with worry. She wonders about the mysterious boy's identity. Suddenly, a group of nurses calls out to Naun. They claim Minyoung needs an urgent procedure. It's vital, they insist, their smiles appearing hauntingly vacant. They beckon Naun to follow them alone. Elsewhere, in a dark alley, Cassian activates his purple shadows. He leaps, testing his newfound agility before crouching low, ready to strike from the darkness. He flickers atop a skyscraper, then vanishes instantly. His predatory energy begins to saturate the cold night air. Cassian realizes he can fuse hidden shadows with shadow movement. Moros warns him this power carries a heavy price. Reverting to human form on a rooftop, Moros warns that his mana consumption is reaching dangerous levels. Stop your nitpicking, Cassian snaps. Suddenly, a sharp notification dings on his phone. The location is confirmed. That monster BloodRayne is heading straight for the girls' hospital. It was a calculated move to plant a tracker on him during their last encounter. Thinking of Naon, his resolve hardens like steel. He lunges into the night. He has to get there. In the hospital garage, Naon grows suspicious. Why must a medical procedure happen inside a cramped ambulance? The doctor insisted it's critical. The staff lies. Naon's confusion quickly shifts into a cold, paralyzing dread. It's a loyalty procedure, BloodRayne's voice echoes. The girl spins around, her breath hitching in shock. Destiny says you'll die by my hand, the villain sneers. Pure terror grips Naon's heart. She screams for everyone to run, but the employees turn, their eyes are hollow, completely enslaved by hypnosis. They are my puppets, he laughs. He wants to break her too, but her spirit remains stubbornly resilient. Naon desperately slams the panic button. BloodRayne admires her strength. She has conquered even her primal fears. He calls her his perfect bride. Stop spouting that delusional garbage. A thunderous voice suddenly commands. BloodRayne freezes, his eyes darting through the shadows to find the hidden intruder. Naon, hit the deck on 3, Cassian yells. BloodRayne realizes it's that same persistent brat. 3, Cassian bellows. He shatters the glass, driving his heel straight into the villain's arrogant face. The impact is massive. Without missing a beat, Cassian lunges forward with a devastating, lightning-fast follow-up. He gives the monster no room to breathe, burying a fist into his gut and shattering the wall. You're ruining everything, the villain shrieks. Cassian stalks forward, his power flaring. I'm just getting started. BloodRayne's eyes snap wide. He barely manages to dodge a lethal blow aimed directly at his skull. The assault is relentless. Gritting his teeth, the villain finally retaliates, lashing out with his razor-sharp claws. It's the sanguine slash. Cassian ducks the lengthening blades and counters with a bone-crushing uppercut. Go to hell, he roars, slamming the monster into the dirt with a violent burst of dark energy. Bloodrain teeters on the edge of consciousness, but forces himself up, glaring at his hunter. He unleashes his hypnosis, screaming in a frenzy. He'll make this boy learn the true meaning of death. Cassian digs his claws deep, delivering a lethal strike to the beast. He pummels the monster relentlessly, the brutal impact echoing through the garage like thunder. Refusing to let go, he grips the villain's face with his razor-sharp talons and slams him into the concrete once more. He coldly asks if this pathetic existence is all the villain has to show for himself. The answer is irrelevant. Cassian won't let him hurt another soul. Yet, Bloodrain erupts into chilling laughter. He mocks Cassian, claiming his invincibility makes this entire struggle nothing more than an amusing game. Cassian wonders if the monster has finally lost its mind, but the creature suddenly dissolves into the gore, transforming into a sinister, mocking puddle. Cassian swings toward the shifting pool, but his strike only shatters the pavement. The enemy has slipped through his fingers. Moros issues a grim warning. Bloodrain is a nightmare to face. Once his blood-based ability activates, physical strikes simply pass through him uselessly. The protagonist realizes he desperately needs a long-range technique, but a confused voice suddenly cuts through the tension. The doctors stumble onto the scene, disoriented and wondering why they've ended up in the dark parking garage. Nayun rushes forward to check on them. Moros confirms the hypnosis has finally broken, prompting Cassian to roar for them to get the girls to safety. He bolts into the shadows to give chase. Nayun cries out for him to wait, desperate to speak with her mysterious savior. She pleads for him to stop, but Cassian is already a blur. He mutters that the monster couldn't have gone far, he'll hunt him down no matter what. Moros remains silent as they track the scent. Elsewhere, Wu-chan and De-Wong are racing through the facility on a mission of their own. Cassian reaches the elevator, only to come face to face with the two heroes. A heavy silence falls as they lock eyes. De-Wong immediately brands him a villain, while Cassian narrowed his eyes, wondering who these new intruders are. The hero draws his blade, lunging forward with his knight ability activated. Cassian is stunned. Why are these people attacking him without warning? Get out of my way! Cassian growls, parrying the lethal strike. The sword spins away before magically flying back into De-Wong's grip. Recognizing the threat, De-Wong barks an order for Wu-chan to provide cover and pin the target down. De-Wong hesitates, remembering Na-Yun mentioned a savior. He wonders what a villain would be doing at a hospital, but his master's voice snaps him back to reality. Wu-chan ignites his power, declaring that the reason doesn't matter. In his eyes, all villains are vermin that must be exterminated. A massive inferno erupts toward the protagonist. Cassian charges head-on into the heat, activating his shadow blade to slice the flames clean in half. He curses under his breath as De-Wong suddenly flickers behind him, aiming for a blindside strike. Cassian spins with instinctual speed, barely meeting the hero's swift, shimmering blade in a desperate clash. He narrowly evades the follow-up strikes, but blood splatters as a blade grazes him. "I've got you now," De-Wong shouts triumphantly. Wu-chan charges in with flare magic, but the image of his sister praising her savior flashes in his mind. He hesitates, his flames flickering. Seeing the momentary opening, Cassian vanishes into the darkness, using his movement skills to escape the pincer attack. Wu-chan lowers his hand in shame. De-Wong demands to know why he froze, but the instructor is more confused by why the villain didn't counterattack. At Gate B, De-Wong notes the stranger used shadows, a rare darkness attribute he's never encountered before. He scratches his head, realizing that explaining this chaotic mess in his official report is going to be a total nightmare. At the very least, they managed to draw blood and prove the mysterious figure isn't invincible. Seeing Wu-chan's guilt, De-Wong offers a reassuring smile, promising to cover for him like a big brother. Wu-chan quietly nods. De-Wong keeps up the chatter to lighten the mood, though the young hero finds the sudden brotherly affection a bit embarrassing. Deep in a dark alley, blood rain seethes over his injuries. Night falls, and the monster struggles to suppress his overwhelming bloodlust. He licks his lips with a twisted grin. He's found the perfect hunting ground, the Red Juice Club. Inside the pulsing nightclub, the crowd is lost in the music until a girl notices a man drenched in red. She asks if he's hurt, but he simply replies that he's just thirsty for a drink. He offers her a chilling invitation to join him. He tells her not to worry, he's already found exactly what he was looking for in this room full of prey. Meanwhile, De-Wong tears through the streets in his high-end sports car, the engine roaring. The radio suddenly blares an emergency. A violent incident is unfolding at the Red Juice Club. Blood rain has been spotted. Damn it! De-Wong snarls. That monster recovered far faster than they anticipated. Wu-chan asks what's wrong. The mentor explains that blood rain feeds on the blood of others to heal. If they don't hurry, he'll be back at full strength before they arrive. Wu-chan's heart sinks. He remembers his sister, Na Yun, insisting that the mysterious man they were hunting was the one who saved her life. The young hero is torn between his duty and his sister's heartfelt gratitude toward a supposed villain. Na Yun had explained how the man disappeared right after the rescue. Back in the present, those words haunt Wu Chan's every thought. As the heroes race toward the club, Cassian stumbles through a desolate alley, clutching a deep, bleeding wound in his side. Moros breathes a sigh of relief that the blow wasn't fatal. "You weren't yourself back there," he notes. Cassian narrows his eyes, questioning the ghost's observation. The spirit points out his strange hesitation. Against villains, he's a demon, but he faltered against those two simply because they wear the title of hero. Cassian ponders this briefly before dismissing it. The heroes are the least of his concerns now. The true enemies he craves to crush are no longer mere villains. Moros notes the wound is nearly sealed. Their gaze then shifts downward to the chaos below. The GPS screams incessantly until the screen updates at the Red Juice Club. A horrific scene unfolds. Lifeless bodies are scattered across the floor like discarded dolls. A few survivors try to crawl through the carnage. Dewang and Wu Zhan stumble into this bloodbath, finding the monstrous blood rain waiting calmly at a table. The villain exhales, savoring the moment. "I'm nearly satisfied," he purrs, "and my physical form has finally stabilized." "Found you, you bastard," Dewang growls. Blood rain doesn't even look up. "Silence. Please. I won't have my precious moment disturbed by your noise." Dewang's heart sinks as he scans the trembling survivors. Realizing the scale of the massacre, he barks an order to his student. "Rescue the survivors and get out of here, now." "Now that I've recovered," Bloodrain declares, "only doom remains for you." He lunges toward the heroes with explosive, lethal intent. A spear formed of pure blood hurtles through the air. Both heroes react instantly, sensing the overwhelming killing intent behind the projectile. Dewang's hand blurs to his waist. With a sharp metallic ring, his blade deflects the crimson spear in a single, fluid motion. Wu Zhan ignites his flames, preparing a devastating counterblast. "Stop," Dewang shouts. "A blaze that size will incinerate the civilians along with the enemy." The young hero falters, forced to check his power. Bloodrain sneers at the hesitation. "Do you truly have the luxury to worry about others right now?" A blinding light erupts directly above Dewang. "Worry about yourself," the villain screams, unleashing a hidden, crushing ability. The impact sends Dewang flying like a ragdoll. He crashes into the stone wall, coughing up a spray of crimson from the internal damage. Bloodrain charges again, his eyes gleaming with madness. "I'll take your life with a technique of true magnificence," he bellows. A bloodthirsty strike slams into the hero's face. As the villain laughs, Wu Zhan drops from above, his fists wreathed in roaring celestial fire. He unleashes a blow of pure fury. The resulting explosion incinerates everything in its path, turning the floor to ash. "A formidable power," a voice whispers from behind. Wu Zhan freezes. "But utterly useless if you lack the skill to land it," Bloodrain mocks. Wu Zhan spins in shock, but he's too slow. The villain's claws flash, carving deep gashes across the young hero's chest. This sucks," Wu Zhan wheezes, clutching the wound. The monster's dark energy swells, suffocating the air. Desperate, the young man swings a heavy kick to create distance. Bloodrain retreats instinctively, escaping the blow. Wu Zhan collapses, his blood dripping from the villain's jagged claws as he gasps for air. "You should have put more weight behind that," Bloodrain chides. "If you had struck with conviction, you might have actually broken my bones." Wu Zhan's teeth grit in frustration. This bastard's strength is on an entirely different level. Between the nature of his fire and the lives of the hostages, victory feels impossible. He can't win while holding back his true output. A pitiful yet significant blast, Bloodrain muses. "I suppose protecting hostages is a heavy burden for a hero like you." The villain's grin widens as he addresses Wu Zhan directly. "By the way, I've looked into your charming little sister. She's quite clever," he continues. "She almost deceived me by using that shadow villain as a distraction, but lying to me carries a heavy price execution." "Go to hell," Wu Zhan roars, his flames exploding in a fit of protective rage. Bloodrain's chilling laughter echoes through the club. He savors the scent of a hero reaching the peak of desperation. "That look in your eyes. It's exquisite," he taunts, mocking the boy's fading confidence. "In honor of that spirit, I'll give you one last chance. Show me if your resolve is a real weapon or just a pathetic illusion." Elsewhere in the darkened city, shadows begin to stir. "Defeat me here, and everyone lives," Bloodrain challenges. "Use every ounce of your power. Don't leave any room for regrets." The villain gazes at the moonlit sky. A perfect night for a bloodbath. Suddenly, Wu Zhan notices a shift in the air. Seizing the opening, he lunges forward with everything he has. A massive ring of fire erupts, cutting through the darkness toward his foe. The flames roar toward Bloodrain. The villain merely cracks a sinister, confident smile. With an impossible acrobatic flip, he dances through the inferno, Before Wu Zhan can react, razor-sharp claws lung towards his throat. He barely evades the lethal strike. Is that all? The villain mocks. Before a follow-up blow sends the hero reeling. Now, I shall fight with everything I have. Meanwhile, Cassian arrives at the club, staring at the absolute devastation. His eyes trail a massive gash carved into the structural wall. That's no ordinary scratch, he mutters. Moros hovers beside him, his expression grim. Judging by the sheer depth, the one responsible possesses monstrous power. Cassian scans the wreckage until his eyes land on a fallen figure. It's Dewang, broken on the floor. Not this guy again, the protagonist sighs. Is he dead? Cassian asks coldly. He's still breathing, Moros confirms. Cassian looks around. Wu Zhan is nowhere to be found. Moros urges Cassian to look down at a magic sword resting in the dirt. Cassian feels a pulse of raw power. Moros insists he extract its mana stone now. The protagonist agrees, despite knowing the blade belongs to another soul. Remembering Dewang's betrayal, he discards the steel and clutches two shimmering crystals. Cassian devours them. Power surges violently, threatening to overwhelm his very being. A shockwave hits his chest. Even Moros watches as darkness consumes the room. Stats are irrelevant, Cassian mutters, feeling this absurdly godlike power coursing through him. Atop a power tower, three figures wait impatiently, tired of this endless delay. Wu Zhan lunges forward, his fist wreathed in roaring flames of unbridled rage. Blood Rain catches the strike effortlessly, mocking the young hero's pathetic, flickering flames. A dark sphere forms in his claws and slams into Wu Zhan's abdomen, silencing him. Pathetically weak, Blood Rain sneers, blaming the boy's own incompetence for this defeat. He offers the mercy of absorption until a cold voice calls him truly disgusting. Cassian flickers behind the beast. Shut up, he growls. You're just a damn leech. They square off. Blood Rain asks if he ever tires of meddling in his designs. Bold words. Cassian counters. For someone who spent our last meeting running away. Blood Rain erupts into laughter, warning that his power has reached a different level. The blood of dozens has fueled his ascension. He now feels truly invincible. Not even an S rank could stand against him. Invincible? Cassian repeats as Wu Zhan staggers. Blood Rain conjures an energy orb, demanding they witness his ultimate, absolute power. He hadn't been trying before. Now, Blood Rain unleashes his full malice at Cassian. Dozens of blood spears rain down. Cassian's shadow blades parry every strike with speed. The energy blast is repelled, but suddenly, a monstrous grip latches onto his arm. Go to hell! Blood Rain roars, lunging. But Cassian has already vanished into air. The villain freezes. Looking for me? Cassian's voice chills him from directly behind. Blood Rain spins with a desperate strike, but Cassian sidesteps him like a ghost. Cassian lands a bone-shattering uppercut, followed instantly by a devastating kick to the gut. The monster's vision blurs as his consciousness begins to fade away completely. Where's that absolute power? Cassian mocks, slamming a final, heavy blow to his head. Wu Zhan stands frozen, struggling to process the sheer dominance he just witnessed. This wasn't the man from the hospital. Who the hell was he really? Spitting a glob of blood, the monster wheezes out a final, hateful curse. Cassian looms over him. Is this really your full power? Blood essence suddenly erupts. Trying to flee like a rat again? The protagonist asks as his shadows lengthen. Blood Rain laughs. Physical strikes can't kill me. I am blood itself. He promises a rematch, but Cassian traps him. There is no next time. Trash like you shouldn't exist. A dark flame ignites in the protagonist's palm. I'm going to roast you alive. He hurls the fire, incinerating the creature. With 520 mana points, Kang Wu unleashed the devastating flames of darkness. Morning arrives at the hospital. The TV anchor announces a breaking news update. Blood Rain's reign of terror in downtown Gdom ended after a brutal struggle. The nation breathes relief, giving Wu Zhan public credit for taking down the killer. Dewang pats his shoulder. I'm proud of you. It was a tough fight. He shudders at what might have happened. Wu Zhan just stares down in silence. He claims he called headquarters, but remembers Cassian dragging the monster into the abyss. Wu Zhan visualizes the obsidian flames, questioning why they burned black. Could this be the legendary power of a dual attribute? Suddenly, Cassian's voice breaks the silence, urging Wu Zhan to call for help. He was severely wounded and fading fast. Wu Zhan tries to set the record straight, insisting he wasn't the one who truly took down Blood Rain, but his words fall on deaf ears. Dewang wonders aloud if this was the same brat who clashed with Blaster. The youth confirms it. The one who crushed Blood Rain is the same boy. Meanwhile, the weary heroes recover at the hospital. Dewang questions if they're dealing with a heroic villain. Wu Zhan goes quiet, but his mentor tells him to stay calm. The mysterious savior must have had an agenda. Perhaps it was a power struggle or a simple territorial dispute. He asks about his Hokuto sword, only for Wu Zhan to reveal the police have seized it as evidence. Dewang cheers at the news, While Wu Chan stares blankly out the window, the school delinquents gather the following morning. Daigo sits with his lackeys as they gossip. They can't believe Wu Chan actually defeated a monster like Blood Rain. The blonde delinquent shudders, relieved he didn't pick a fight, or he'd be 6 feet under by now. Kyun's eyes narrow as he spots something off. He asks what on earth happened to his friend's eye. Daigo explains he suffered a severe skull fracture. Ki-hoon roars that the bastard responsible needs to pay the medical bills, but they know they're outmatched. The purple-haired delinquent suggests it's time to reform their old gang for backup. Daigo shuts them down immediately. He doesn't know why, but that man was primally terrifying. He was even scarier than the rumors of Wu Chan. He asks if they've ever seen a human with glowing eyes. Ki-hoon grows uneasy at the description. Meanwhile, Classroom 3 is buzzing with praise for the legendary Kim Wu Chan. The students are in awe of his cool demeanor. Moros notes the hype. While Cassian wonders when he can investigate, there are more pressing matters than just rewards that require his attention. Moros tilts his head in curiosity. Our hero sinks into deep thought. Deep in the villain district, a mysterious girl marks her territory with spray paint. She tags a bear over the existing stickers. Suddenly, a figure approaches, carrying a heavy bucket of paint. The newcomer stops dead in his tracks. Nearby, Driver is busy tinkering with new machinery amidst a cacophony of metal. The door creaks open. Uninvited guests enter, complaining about the stench and the chaotic state of the workshop. Driver scoffs, asking if a lecture is the only greeting he's going to get after calling them here. The man reminds him that he was the one summoned. They sit down as drinks are finally served. Driver asks if he witnessed the spectacle. The masked man nods. He saw every cinematic moment from start to finish. This was the A-ranker, Wangil Gonus. When asked for his impression, Wangil describes the fighter as an emotionless killing machine. Aroma chimes in, dismissing the entire brawl as a predictable, cliché-ridden mess, and the others agree. But Wangil disagrees. The boy had the presence of a protagonist, a brilliant, unpolished black diamond in the rough. Driver wonders if that's a compliment. Wangil insists that the feat alone deserves the highest recognition. Wangil reveals the secret he discovered. The protagonist possesses a dual attribute, a revelation that leaves Driver speechless. The villain turns away, lost in thought, before turning back to confirm. Wangil is shocked that Driver was in the dark. Driver knew the kid was special, but this? Wangil can't believe such a crucial detail was missed. A villain wielding 2 attributes. It was a concept completely unheard of in this modern age. Driver corrects him. Such monsters existed once, way back in the ancient era of myths and legends. Cassian realizes the district isn't a prison. It's a neutral zone meant to prevent total war between heroes and villains. In this era, it has become a lawless sanctuary where villains can finally live in peace. Surveying the villain district, Cassian admits he can never truly feel at home in such a place. Driver greets him, noting that his aura has shifted since their last encounter. He's pleased to see the boy return. They meet in a hidden lounge called Paradise Bar. A waiter silently serves the 2 powerful figures. Driver recommends the juice before promising a tour of the facility and the delivery of the promised reward. Driver adjusts his glasses, and his eyes widen in disbelief. The boy's magic power has skyrocketed. He demands to know if Cassian consumed high-grade crystals, but the protagonist remains suspiciously quiet. Who is this monster? He jumped from 300 to over 500 magic points in no time. Such growth is impossible with mere crystals. Could this be the terrifying potential of a dual attribute user? Cassian breaks the silence, admitting a burning curiosity that's been gnawing at him for a while. He demands to know the source of the magic crystals, but a mysterious voice interrupts the supplier is right there. Meet Yu Chaiha, an unregistered A-rank hero. He casually serves sandwiches, calling them a gift for a VIP. Driver identifies him as the bar owner and a hero living among villains, though Yu hates being called bro. Driver pushes for a deep discount on crystals, but Yu scoffs, claiming they're already priced at rock bottom. Leaning on their history, Driver begs him to put their long friendship on the line for a deal. Cassian's mind races as he reflects on the strange hero who chose to reside in the villain district. This man clearly has a dark past. Cassian asks to buy crystals, but Yu demands he join the district family. Driver suggests moving into the residential zone, but Cassian bristles. Is he being recruited as a mere subordinate? The villain counters, pass the test, and you won't be a lackey, you could even become the new boss. Yu asks if Driver is truly ready to step down, and Driver admits he's been weighing the idea. Cassian shows zero interest in ruling the Vil Zone, but Driver won't stop selling the dream of a great gig. He explains that Cassian would wield absolute, total authority over the entire territory. He'd have his own personal army and a state-of-the-art, exclusive luxury training facility at his disposal. Cassian only cares about gaining strength, but the villain mentions the black market's endless supply of magic crystals. Cassian eyes Yu Chaiha with suspicion, realizing this hero is likely a high-level black market courier. Even that bald powerhouse, Driver, isn't someone to be trifled with. Neither of them are weak. Driver adds another sweetener. A massive monthly salary to cover every possible expense. When Cassian asks the amount, Yu whispers it. The figure leaves Cassian speechless, while Driver grins nearby. A heavy silence falls as Cassian stares at the duo, while Yu Chaiha simply watches the tension build. Across the city, Blackhand spatters his food, cursing the wretched taste of what barely qualifies as real meat. He's dying for a Papa Han's burger, while Crush, a B-plus rank powerhouse, just wants a real pizza. Blackhand reminds him he leveled the only pizza joint, but Crush maintains that pineapple pizza is a crime. Suddenly, a shadow looms from behind. So, everyone is finally gathered, a voice echoes. It's the B- rank villain, Double Blade. He warns them that there's no time for petty food squabbles. Blackhand asks if a hero is attacking, but the news is worse. That black-clad brat has returned. Rage explodes in Blackhand's eyes. He demands the brat's location, and Double Blade confirms he's with Driver. They're at the Paradise Bar. Driver's iron rule strictly forbids any internal fighting within the zone. Blackhand's grin turns predatory. Today is the day that rule is finally shattered into pieces. Elsewhere, a man frantically claws at the earth. Driver identifies him as Dirt Dog, an eccentric soil lover. Beside him is Cleaner, a fanatic who won't allow even a single speck of dust to exist. They're weird outcasts who don't harm individuals, yet their very existence is a threat to the social order. This is why the Vil Zone exists. Cassian realizes these people are unlike the villains he's faced before. It's all because of that man. Cassian asks why he was used against Blood Rain, revealing a traitor exists. The revelation stuns Cassian. To weed out a rat, Driver needed an outsider with zero ties to him. He explains a hidden reality. Just like the heroes, villains are divided into very different groups. There are those who abide by a code, and those who crave nothing but lawless, chaotic destruction. Cassian connects the dots between Blood Rain, the residential district, and the shadow of the traitor. Driver confirms it was a gambit. An unknown force is pulling strings, aiming for the Vil Zone's total destruction. The protagonist tries to walk away, claiming their war has nothing to do with him. Driver just laughs. That cold indifference is exactly why he wants Cassian in the family. Cassian calls it nonsense, but Driver looks him dead in the eye, staking his life on the request. Meanwhile, at the height of luxury, the elite restaurant Vesperma hums with quiet, expensive elegance. Yuri takes notes, her mind wandering to Kang Wu. Ever since she gave him the card, he's vanished. A butler summons the manager. In the office, the owner praises her for being social and flawless. On the other end, a man confirms her stellar reputation, while the owner sighs, reluctant to let such talent move on. The man quips that it feels like he's robbing him blind. Yuri's knock interrupts the call, and the owner hangs up, promising to finish the conversation later. A sly smile plays on the caller's face, as back in the office, the owner slides a letter across the desk. He reveals a prestigious invitation from the American headquarters. Her relentless dedication has earned her a spot in an elite training program, complete with travel costs and an apartment near the main office. It's the opportunity of a lifetime, and Yuri, sensing the gravity, quickly accepts. Her first thought is of her brother, as across the city, our protagonist emerges from the district. He walks in silence, the driver's offer to join the Vil Zone, echoing in his mind, a proposal he had initially dismissed as madness. Yet, the villain had sworn on his very life, revealing a chilling sincerity that stops Cassian in his tracks. Moros senses his hesitation, just as Cassian spots Blackhand lurking against the shadows of a wall. Crush questions if he's the right guy, while Cassian notes that the Vil Zone seems to have a serious pest problem. Double Blade is impressed he was sensed so easily, acknowledging that this kid is far from ordinary. Crush's bloodlust begins to boil, desperate to paint the pavement red with his target. But Blackhand intervenes, his teeth bared in fury, vowing to personally settle the score for his earlier disgrace. Cassian remains unfazed, though Moros warns him that a coordinated ambush is imminent. Fueled by rage, Blackhand charges with a murderous scream, only for a glass projectile to come flying his way. The glass expands into a massive barrel, leaving a bewildered Blackhand to face an unexpected interference. Juak, the B-ranker, steps into the light, warning him that he's treading on dangerous ground by breaking the rules. Ganging up on a single target is strictly forbidden. Blackhand snaps back, arguing that those rules only protect official Vil Zone members. Feathers rain down as Crow descends from the rooftops, watching the chaos unfold with her familiar perched nearby. Stunned by her presence, Blackhand freezes as Crow smirks, asking if they really thought he could just walk away. The tension leaves the villains rattled, while hours later, a tired Yuri returns home. She lets out a weary sigh, flipping the lights, wondering if her brother has already turned in for the night. As she reaches for his door, the weight of her promotion lingers, her boss's praise still fresh in her mind. She drops her bag, the day's fatigue finally catching up. Declaring she's headed for the shower, She misses the letter resting quietly on the floor. Elsewhere, Cassian pushes his limits with heavy weights, a classic method Moros praises for building absolute power and stamina. From this moment forward, his mindset must shift. He won't always have the luxury of a fair fight, and must prepare to face an army alone. Stamina is the key to survival. A fact Moros respects as he recalls the previous day's standoff. Crush had demanded they wait, insisting the boy take the official Vilzone entrance exam. While some doubt his resolve, Blackhand's only desire is to see him dead. Cassian agrees to the test in 10 days, prompting the villains to retreat, as Juak explains the trial. It will be a series of duels, where lethal force is banned unless absolutely necessary. Juak declares herself as his first opponent, her eyes dancing with anticipation as Cassian meets her gaze with ice. In truth, the Vilzone hierarchy means nothing to him, leaving the onlookers in the square stunned by his indifference. Bracing himself against the bars, he focuses on his evolution. If this path leads to his revenge against Lampas, he'll gladly walk through the gates of hell to achieve it. Nearby, the twins Aroma and Otai observe his intense regime, confirming that he is indeed the one they're looking for. They agree to keep his presence a secret, ensuring Wong remains in the dark for now. Back home, Cassian washes away the grime of training, wondering if his sister is still asleep as he dries off. But the state of the living room stops him cold. As he prepares to tidy up the mess, his eyes lock onto the letter, forgotten on the floor. Yuri stirs with a wide yawn, only to find her brother intensely focused on a private letter she recently received. She snatches the paper away, demanding to know if he read it. Cassian calmly notes it looks like an official invitation from America. Hesitation clouds her face as she flatly refuses the offer. She simply can't bring herself to leave him all alone. The protagonist insists he can manage, secretly thinking that a bit of solitude might actually be more comfortable. Yuri isn't convinced, questioning if he even knows how to handle basic laundry or clear out the fridge before food rots. Cassian argues he's no longer a child, though Yuri reminds him he's still a 19-year-old high school senior. Still, he urges her to take this once-in-a-lifetime chance. He tells her she shouldn't sacrifice her future on his account. She needs to pursue her own path without worry. Deep within the Vilzone district, 3 figures gather in the shadows. Double Blade notes only 1 week remains, questioning if the challenger will truly show. His boss confirms the target, the man destined to step into the ring against the formidable Juak. A villain sneers, itching for a fight of his own. After all, this newcomer was the one who managed to humiliate Driver. Blackhand scoffs that Driver must have held back, but Crush quickly fires back, reminding him that he suffered a defeat as well. Tension explodes as they prepare to clash, but the blade wielder intervenes. They'll only get their shot if the boy survives his match with Juak. Blackhand looks forward to a one-sided slaughter, yet surprisingly bets on the underdog. He wants his revenge, and he'll be the one to finish it. Later, in the quiet of his room, Moros asks if the protagonist truly supports sending his sister across the ocean. Cassian calls it a golden opportunity, but the lingering soul wonders if there's a deeper motive behind his blessing. The protagonist remains silent before explaining the move is best for both of them. He isn't speaking as Cassian, but as Kang Wu. Moros questions if he can handle the isolation. Cassian scoffs, reminding him he already spent years surviving on his own in America. The ghost chuckles, watching the legendary warrior's secret search history, a guide on how to properly cook rice. In another part of the house, Yuri stares at the letter with a heavy sigh, torn between her boss's advice and her brother's wishes. Her spiraling thoughts are suddenly broken when her friends' voices call her back to reality. At a nearby bar, they tease her about her gloomy expression. The blonde friend tells the nerdy one to shut up before things get awkward. As the cold beers arrive, the girls decide to just drink. They know Yuri will finally open up once the alcohol starts working. Yuri drains her glass in a single, desperate gulp. By the time she returns home, she is visibly intoxicated. Cassian worries about her condition, but a stumbling Yuri stubbornly insists that she isn't drunk at all. She gushes over how cute her little brother is, while Moros calls her completely insane. Cassian gently carries her to her bed. Yuri mumbles about how he used to follow her everywhere, amazed that he's now mature enough to take care of her instead. The moment reminds Cassian of Jeff, who was also forced to grow up too fast. He gazes at his sister fondly before tucking her in. The following morning, Yuri wakes with a throbbing headache. As she struggles to sit up, she notices something left on the table. Her fingers reach out for a handwritten note left by the protagonist. He wrote that he prepared bean sprout soup for her hangover. He even left instructions to heat it up and eat it with rice. The note ends with a firm reminder that he isn't a child anymore. Fast forward to the bustling terminal of an airport. Yuri fussily begs him not to skip any meals. She promises to text every single morning and night, just to check in. She warns him to keep the doors locked at all times, terrified of how dangerous the world has become lately. The protagonist reassures her, telling her not to worry. Yuri pleads for him to call the instant anything goes wrong. Cassian counters that he should be the one saying that, promising to fly straight to America if she's ever in trouble. They share a final smile. Yuri says her goodbyes and boards her flight. As the plane takes off, Cassian watches it disappear into the sky with a look of deep longing. Later, in the heart of the Ville zone, Driver explains the brutal victory conditions: surrender or total incapacitation. The rules state he must fight 3 times, with credit given just for the courage to participate. There is no penalty for a loss, but failing means he'll lose the chance to ever challenge the Ville zone's ultimate boss. Cassian snaps that he's being too noisy and demands they start. Driver smirks, checking if the deadly Juak is prepared for combat. Moros advises Cassian to stay calm and ignore any provocations, but the protagonist's cold eyes show he is already focused. Doubleblade watches from the sidelines, wondering which will reign supreme, blinding speed or Juak's legendary brute strength. Juak isn't just a powerhouse. She is a master of hand-to-hand combat, with a body forged through relentless training. She is a tactical genius who exploits every advantage. For a speed-based fighter, she is the ultimate, living nightmare. Driver decides it's time to stop wasting words. He signals for the brutal battle to finally begin. Juak lunges toward our protagonist, screaming that they should end this now. Cassian's shadows lash out, pinning her down instantly. "I'm right above you," he taunts. Juak panics, searching for a ghost she can't see. Doubleblade cries out a warning, but it's too late. The abyss has already swallowed her whole. Cassian coils his power and delivers a devastating kick straight to Juak's face. She's out cold. Driver sighs while the other villains watch in stunned silence. With Juak crumpled on the floor, Cassian turns his cold gaze toward the others. Next, Blackhand can't believe his eyes. Juak, the toughest tank in the Ville zone, just got floored by a single strike. "Stop wasting my time," Cassian snaps. The villains tremble, wondering what kind of monster they're facing. He throws down a final challenge. Anyone craving a beating is welcome to step up. Crush wonders if he's next, but a dagger suddenly streaks through the air, embedding itself at his feet. Cassian looks toward the sky. "Don't get cocky, kid," Red Eye snarls from above. As the Ville zone's greatest hunter, he's taking this fight personally. Elsewhere in the district, a mysterious figure scoffs, claiming such a thing is impossible. They didn't fear the blood rain. Truth be told, they never expected much from him to begin with. A voice on the phone asks about Gadam District. "It's falling soon," comes the reply. "Trust me, they always keep their promises." Back in the chaos, an explosion rocks the ground. Arrows rain down from every conceivable angle. Cassian blurs through the air, dodging with godlike speed. Moros realizes these aren't normal shots, they're homing arrows. A projectile locks onto him, but Cassian leaps into the air at the last second. The arrow obliterates a nearby wall instead. "I've got you now," Red Eye gloats, aiming his bow from the heights. He unleashes a torrential volley of rapid-fire shots. Cassian raises his arm to shield himself. A massive explosion erupts, shaking the entire district to its core. Reddy retreats, wondering if that was it. He honestly expected more of a challenge from the newcomer, but shadows swirl behind him. Red Eye spins around to find Cassian looming over him. "The hunter just became the prey," he whispers. Red Eye immediately throws his hands up in surrender. He knows when he's been beaten. Cassian demands an explanation. Red Eye just shrugs, admitting a sniper is useless once the enemy closes the distance. Cassian can't believe he's quitting over something so trivial, but the villain is dead serious. He never wanted this fight, but Driver insisted on a test. High above, a drone records every second of their encounter. Red Eye claims he doesn't want anyone getting crippled during the trial. He hands Cassian a strange device, a DSP. It's a desire suppression patch. Apparently, every villain in this district is wearing one. Slap it behind your ear, and it blends right in. It's completely invisible to the naked eye. Cassian recognizes the tech from prison injections, but he's never seen it as a simple patch before. He wonders who could have developed this. Red Eye cuts his thoughts short, warning him that Blackhand is the final hurdle. He's a hot-headed emotional mess, but he's got a soft side. "Go easy on him," Reddy jokes. Cassian ponders this as he recalls the man's past. Meanwhile, in the arena, Blackhand is visibly hesitating. Crush wonders who came out on top. Doubleblade scoffs, saying a bow user is useless in a direct duel. After seeing Juak get one-shotted, Blackhand screams that it was nothing but pure, dumb luck, but his confidence wavers when they question him. Crush suggests a 3-on-1 if he's too scared to go solo. Juak agrees. Even the king of the jungle hunts in a pack when the prey is this dangerous. Blackhand is insulted. He refuses to team up with losers. "I'm no lion," he roars. "I'm a lone Siberian tiger." Juak shuts him down. "This isn't a joke, this test was rigged from the very beginning. They were all just sacrificial lambs meant to make that kid look like a god." Blackhand demands answers, and Juak tells him to shut up and listen to the truth. She overheard Driver at the Paradise Bar. He's handing the boss position to that kid. Blackhand is furious, but the rumor is confirmed. The villain recoils, unable to accept that this is actually happening. Juak refuses to let some unknown brat take the supreme title of the Vil Zone without a fight. Aren't you sick of Driver's favoritism? She asks. They need to decide now. Team up or lose everything. Double Blade asks what the plan is. Juak just gives a sinister, predatory smile. She's brought reinforcements, the more, the merrier. Meanwhile, Yuri prepares for her own journey, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing below. Yuri reports that it'll still be a while before she reaches her destination. Looking out the window, she sighs, worried if Kang Wu is eating right. Meanwhile, Cassian is busy devouring a sandwich. Reedy handed it over to replenish his strength. Cassian agrees, but Moros suspects there's a hidden motive behind the kindness. The protagonist recalls Jeff's warning, always be wary of those who are too nice. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echo through the hall. An irritated Black Hand marches toward him. Cassian realizes the truth. So, he really is my next opponent. Black Hand demands to know what he did to Driver. Cassian plays dumb, forcing the villain to repeat the question in a rage. Suddenly, Crush strikes from behind. Cassian narrowly evades as the massive hammer shatters the ground. Double Blade lunges from the shadows with a knife. Anticipating the move, Cassian counters with a devastating punch. The villain is stunned by such reflexes. He retreats, bracing himself, while Cassian lets out a confident smirk. He mocks them, claiming they're attacking 3-on-1 just to hide their own pathetic weakness. But the assault isn't over. Juak's heavy barrel comes hurtling toward his back. Cassian dodges, but his eyes widen as he lands. Juak laughs, revealing their numbers are far greater than 3. A drunken lunge connects with the hero's stomach. Elsewhere, Driver notes that quite a bit of time has passed. He wonders how the boy is doing, while Crow refers to him as a black duck. Driver reminds her he hasn't earned a name yet. Jealous of the attention, Crow playfully places a finger on his chin. She demands his focus, promising 1,000,000 times more in return. But Driver is busy brainstorming the perfect name. Red-Eye suddenly arrives on the scene, announcing that he's finally located them. He teases the pair for being so inseparable. Driver simply commends him for a job well done. Crow asks about the black duck, but Red-Eye is confused. Suddenly, Driver activates his tactical glasses. He freezes in shock. Ignoring Crow's questions, he stares intensely at the building where the battle rages. A girl sends urgent messages to Dirty Dog. In the distance, explosions rock the district, leaving a trail of destruction. The blow sends Cassian slamming into a wall. Gritting his teeth, he forces his body to recover instantly. Crush charges again, claiming it's his turn. Cassian lunges off the wall, delivering a brutal punch straight to his jaw. Blackhand screams in a fury, rushing the protagonist with murderous intent. Cassian slips behind him with ease. He seizes the villain's hair, using it as leverage for a bone-shattering knee strike. He follows up with another crushing blow to the face. Crush bellows an insult, charging like a madman. The protagonist sends him flying with a powerful kick. But another shadow lunges from behind. He dodges Juak's barrel and seizes her hair. Without hesitation, he drives a powered-up knee into her chin. Blackhand sighs, realizing Cassian is no ordinary rookie. This nobody is far stronger than they ever imagined. Crush groans, barely clinging to life. Blackhand wonders what kind of monster they've actually unleashed. Cassian's gaze shifts. Pointer, a B rank, finds him tough, while the hammer-wielding C+ villain relishes the hunt. Moros complains that the enemies just keep showing up, but the protagonist scoffs, calling them nothing but bothersome flies. Pointer's pride takes a hit as he snaps in anger. Terrified, the villain trembles as Cassian's murderous aura explodes. Suddenly, a new challenger lunges forward, screaming, "He's mine!" Iron Mask, a B+ rank, steps forward as the self-proclaimed guardian of order. He poses dramatically, declaring he'll enforce justice and maintain peace within the Vil Zone. Cassian dodges the nonsense with a tilt of his head. Hammerboy doesn't wait, advancing with his weapon raised. A nail whistles through the air as the hunt begins. Cassian zigzags through the projectiles, closing the distance instantly. Pointer suddenly appears, blocking the path to protect his ally. Hammerboy tells him to move, but Pointer refuses. Wielding his fire spear, he promises Cassian a burning end. In response, Cassian manifests a dark flame within his own claws. Pointer freezes, terrified by the sinister combustion. Juak snaps at them to stop standing around and attack. She prepares her special move, pouring every ounce of her energy into the massive barrel. She fires a devastating blast, screaming for the protagonist to go to hell. Cassian summons a dark blade of shadow, slicing the barrel clean in two. Crush uses the debris as a springboard for one final strike. Cassian summons a dark blade and lunges, cleaving the hammer in two with his shadow sword. He pivots, striking Crush's abdomen with a kick. Blackhand watches in terror, wondering what this monster is. Seeing his absolute lack of hesitation, they wonder if they are now the ones being hunted. Suddenly, a mysterious trap manifests, ensnaring our protagonist. A villain behind him declares his capture. It's the rank B villain, Binder, who knew he'd catch him eventually. Cassian is stunned, but Binder mocks his struggle. His body and his inner desires are both hopelessly trapped. As fellow Darkness attribute users, Binder sneers that struggling is a total waste of time. Moros calls out, but Binder tells Cassian to experience hell within inescapable despair. The villains advance to end him. Pointer jokes about turning him into a human kebab. Cassian simply catches the spear barehanded, leaving everyone in absolute shock. Iron Mask roars for justice, unleashing his execution of justice to finish the rebel. Juak charges, aiming for the gut. Cassian dazes for a moment as Crush strikes his back. The villains howl for his life, stomping him down. The protagonist begins to fall. Blackhand delivers a final kick, screaming insect. Kang Wu mocks him as a pathetic weakling. I took over your body, yet you're this weak? You truly deserve to die. Cassian erupts with energy, chanting his own name. Even Moros is shocked by the power. Greater power surges through him, blowing the villains back into the building. Crow wonders if they're overthinking, while Driver hopes their plan succeeds today. He adds that it would be problematic if too many people were injured. The villains sense the shift. Driver realizes something has gone terribly wrong below. Juak and the rest tremble, facing Cassian as he radiates overwhelming dark energy. Binder gasps as he manages to break free. Juak tries to rally them, but the protagonist's cold gaze shifts toward them. He cleaves the threads with dark blades, severing Binder's trap and lifting the villains. Blades narrowly miss Juak, Blackhand, and Crush in a display of precision. The villains are grounded while Cassian stands tall. Juak mutters that it's insane. Driven by revenge, he roars that he cannot die here. Driver arrives as Crow spots the Dark Horse. His mana has exceeded 2,000. Red Eye is stunned. Exceeding 2,000 mana points signifies a catastrophe-class threat. Crow worries it could end badly, but Driver simply watches in silence. Moros begs Cassian to stay rational and not give in to the darkness. Where is your warrior spirit? Wake up! The protagonist coldly replies he is awake. He scoffs at the spirit, proving he never truly lost his sanity. His mental fortress holds. He activates the DSP point, which Moros notices instantly. It must be thanks to the device Red Eye provided him. Driver notes his self-control, though Crow wanted to see his full catastrophe power. Currently, his mana points have plummeted to less than half their peak. Did he only peak because he lost control? Dizzy, but undeterred, Cassian glares at them, asking if they want to continue. Juak seethes, but Blackhand suddenly surrenders, admitting their total defeat. Juak demands to know why he's quitting when he's the loser. Blackhand punches her, shouting that they've already lost their pride by ganging up. He asks if she wants to drag their remaining honor through the dirt. He tells her to take it up with the boss as Driver arrives. Juak calls his name. Cassian approaches as Driver declares his victory and passing the test. Cassian fixes his gaze on him, asking if he's finally satisfied. Driver grins. Cassian is officially part of the family now. A rare smile plays on the protagonist's lips. Now that he has a true family to return to, everything feels different. He surrenders to a peaceful, carefree nap in Driver's arms. Meanwhile, at Philadelphia International, the American flag ripples in the wind. Yuri whispers a question, but he doesn't respond. She figures he's simply reached his limit and finally surrendered to sleep. A man holding a welcome sign beams at her. Yuri immediately recognizes the face. It's her manager waiting for her. In the car, the man's smile never fades as he introduces himself as Sean, the senior manager. He offers to take her straight to her home. Yuri accepts with a polite nod. She's curious, though, what kind of person is the hotel manager she'll be working for? Sean chuckles, calling him a charming man. He's traveling now, so you'll meet him in 10 days. Until then, just ask me anything. Yuri offers her thanks, her heart full of resolve. From this moment on, she's going to give this opportunity her absolute best. In a memory of the HC orphanage, a young Cassian declares his dream. He's going to become a hero. Just like Jeff. Didn't you want to be a cool villain? The young man asks. Cassian scoffs that was just a childish whim before he knew better. Jeff calls out Cassian's name, his expression unreadable. He asks why the boy is so desperate to follow the path of a hero. Cassian speaks of inspiration and the fight for justice. Jeff sighs, telling the boy to listen closely to the harsh reality of their world. Not all heroes stand on the side of justice, Jeff warns. Cassian is stunned. Aren't they supposed to be the ones who defeat evil? Then, do the villains fight for justice? The boy asks. Jeff falls silent, the weight of the question lingering between them for a few seconds. He explains that justice belongs to those who fight for it. Never blindly believe in the obvious. What you think is just might be the opposite. He urges the boy to become someone who truly fights for what is right, regardless of what the world calls it. Jeff's smile is the last thing he sees before Moros's voice pulls him back. Cassian's eyes snap open as he regains consciousness. He's in Driver's warehouse, surrounded by a mountain of tools. Moros lets out a breath, relieved that he's finally awake. Cassian asks if Moros was the one calling, but the ghost is clueless. Driver then speaks up, glad he's finally finished his long nap. She gives him a knowing smile, while Cassian remains lost in the fog of his lingering, bittersweet memories. At the Korean Republican branch of Lampas, Wu Chan walks toward a private room with heavy, uncertain footsteps. He knocks 3 times, congratulating his sunbae on a quick recovery, but inside, De Wong sits in the dark, looking utterly crushed. Wu Chan flips the lights on, confused by the gloom. De Wong's voice is hollow as he calls out to his student. I can't hear it anymore. The soul of my sword of the Great Bear and 4 tigers is gone. Its life force has vanished. Such a thing should be impossible. De Wong is certain that the monster known as Blood Rain must have done something to it. Wu Chan watches in silent horror. Meanwhile, at the Paradise Bar, Driver claims they are at the finest restaurant in the V-Zone. To celebrate the successful test, the feast is on him. Cassian looks around skeptically. Is this really the only place we can go? Driver argues they're helping Chiha's business. Besides, he's already punished the trash who tried to interfere with the test. Memories of the brutal battle flash in Cassian's mind. Chiha arrives with a special dish, declaring it's a gift on the house. Cassian is taken aback by the sudden generosity. Chiha explains it's a celebration for him becoming the new chief of the Gdam district. Cassian is stunned. Driver explains that after crushing so many powerful villains single-handedly, the seat is rightfully his. I already told you, I'm not interested, Cassian reminds him. He has no patience for annoying responsibilities or paperwork. Driver offers a deal. He'll handle the boring work, and Cassian will receive a fat monthly salary for his trouble. So, a figurehead? Cassian muses. Driver nods. He needs Cassian to be the face, the new ruler of the V-Zone. They need his overwhelming strength and natural charisma. Cassian remains doubtful. Who would follow a monster like him so easily? Driver admits there were many who opposed the decision, but his mind is already made up. I have faith in your potential, Driver says firmly. He knows, without a shadow of a doubt, that this is the right choice. The memory of their conversation sticks in Cassian's mind. He stares quietly into his glass of orange juice, lost in thought. Driver notes that he still needs a villain name. But Cassian's reply shocks everyone in the room. My name is Cassian. The high-class hero named Cassian is dead. From the ashes, a villain seeking vengeance is born, and his name is still Cassian. Elsewhere in the district, Cassian stands alone, looking out over the sprawling, chaotic landscape he now commands. He thinks back to the day Yuri left. Moros had asked if he was truly worried about his older sister's departure. Nothing is going to happen to her, Cassian says. Moros then asks if gaining power was his only reason for joining the villain zone. Gaining power is a necessity, Cassian admits. But it's even better when you have strong, competent allies standing right by your side. First, you must ascend. Every movement builds his power, and every ability he unleashes brings him closer to absolute mastery. Whether it's the potential of a catastrophe-class villain or something more, he's unlocked dual attributes, a phenomenon previously unheard of in this world. He reaches his hand toward the heavens. With proper training, the first stage of his cold revenge is finally within reach. Moros reminds him of the exterminator sword Jeff desperately sought. Had he truly let such a crucial detail slip his mind? Back in the present, Cassian surveys the sprawling district. He's officially the chief of the villain zone at Soaha Arts High. Meanwhile, in the first-year classroom, the air is thick with gossip. Na-yoon sips her strawberry milk, eyes sharp. When she asks what's up, the girls point to breaking news from the villain zone. The girl recognizes the face instantly. It's him. Word is he's the new chief. Scary? Sure. But they claim Wu Chan could end him with a single blow. Na-yoon watches in silence, wondering if this guy really is the new king of villains. Elsewhere, Crush dismisses the noise. Blackhand is fuming over the ranking of the Gotham District's most dangerous villains. Crush mocks his frustration for being left off the list, though the villain fiercely denies it. Then his friend reveals he only hit 6th place. Double Blade disagrees, while Blackhand screams that the list is rigged. Why choose Cassian as a villain name? Even Crush noticed it, since that name once belonged to a high-class hero. Blackhand asks if anyone actually remembers a hero by that name. Crush claims he was legendary. But the villain doesn't care about heroes, he just wants to crush this new upstart personally. Double Blade explains that the hero died recently, betrayed and stabbed for killing an ally. Crush wonders if that sparked the superstition. They say claiming a dead hero's name allows you to inherit a terrifying new strength. Blackhand calls it pathetic nonsense, but Crush notes that many villains are desperate enough to believe it. The villain zone is full of them. Blackhand wants to test this idiot, but Double Blade warns against fighting right after their release. Is the name just a coincidence? If not, he ponders the weight of those words. A new power. In the depths of the training center, Cassian emerges from the shower, feeling the surge of adrenaline fade. Moros notes that today's training was twice as brutal as usual. He worries if Cassian's body can survive this pace, but the boy remains calm. Everything is within his calculated limits. His physical form has evolved. He can feel the change that took root after he went berserk. Moros contemplates this evolution just as Driver knocks on the door. Driver asks to enter. Cassian agrees, but Moros warns that he isn't currently in villain mode. As they walk, Driver asks if he ever stops training. Cassian tells him to cut to the chase. An emergency meeting has been called. Cassian asks if his presence is required and what the crisis is. The prisoners from the punishment room have broken out. Even worse, they fled straight into the Boxen villain district. In a hidden lair, a villain snarls about his failures and his desperate struggle to reclaim what was lost. She still dares to show her face, despite being battered and broken. Another woman scoffs with a new king rising. Driver's influence has withered to nothing. Then, a villainess lights a cigar. She demands 1 week to conquer the Gotham district, revealing her true identity, the S-rank Barracuda. Driver explains that Gotham is home to nearly 400 villains. Only 100 are true threats. The rest are just street thugs and outcasts living on the edge of society. Driver identifies the escapees as Jack and Pointer. They've joined forces and were last spotted heading deep into the Boxen villain zone. Seoul is divided into 4 major zones. Cassian wonders why they chose that specific territory. The history between them is bloody. Those monsters have been eyeing Gotham for years, ignoring every warning. Now, they've finally found their opening. Cassian realizes the threat. The chief of Boxen is none other than Barracuda. Red-Eye warns that he's an S-rank maniac, a violent predator who lives only for the thrill of the hunt. S-rank or not, Driver warns he's an item specialist. Armed with the lethal Barracuda's fangs, he reportedly wields a genuine magic crystal. Cassian takes a moment to process this intel. Driver warns that they're facing overwhelming numbers. It's not just the quantity, it's the high-ranking villains involved. Red-Eye knows if they strike, they'll have a deadly plan ready. Despite their reputation, Driver points out they still need a solid justification to launch an attack. They'll likely fabricate a reason to strike. Crow scoffs, labeling every villain in the Jumdam district as utterly incompetent. Instead of waiting for the crowd, they'll be the ones taking the initiative. Driver recalls past incidents but remains unfazed. They hold a reliable secret weapon that guarantees they won't taste defeat. When Driver asks about his destination, Cassian mentions he's heading home. With midterms approaching, it's time to hit the books. Crow raises a skeptical eyebrow while Red-Eye looks on, completely confused by the concept. In another part of the city, a young man at a cafe notes it's been 6 months since their last meeting. Wu-chan claims he never ignored any messages, but his friend counters that Wu-chan never reaches out first. Gu Ji-ho, a support class student, notes that graduation is looming as autumn settles in. He asks if Wu-chan will choose college or hero work. Ideally, he wants to travel and forge his own path through real-world experience. Ji-ho suggests that, if that's the dream, he should have attended a training academy instead of a regular school. Wu-chan admits he was simply honoring his father's wishes. His friend watches him in a heavy, thoughtful silence. Ji-ho mentions him becoming an S-rank hero like his late father, but Wu-chan cuts him off. That's not his limit. He's aiming for the world's top 30 elites. His ultimate goal is to become a first-class hero. Wu-chan sips his coffee, vowing to finally get revenge on those bastards. Ji-ho reflects on the weight of those words. He reminds Wu-chan that first-class status is judged on lethal combat skills, not just magical power ratings. Such a goal seems impossible for a support, but Wu-chan points out a support-class hero is already in their ranks. He's done with the whining. If anyone can break the mold and become a first-class hero, it's him. After capturing the A-class assassin Blood Rain, his potential seems limitless. Yet, Wu-chan vividly remembers what truly transpired. Ji-ho notes that since the Blood Rain incident, many students have started viewing him as a legendary role model. Checking his phone, Wu-chan mentions he has to meet his sister. He asks if Ji-ho wants to join them. Ji-ho agrees, noting it's been a while. Meanwhile, our protagonist strolls past the cafe, searching for a specific book. Within the shadows of the Buksan district, Barracuda makes his way toward the villain zone's punishment room. An eerie voice calls out for its beautiful toys, asking to play hide-and-seek. Sensing the door open, the figure demands to know who's there. Barracuda coldly informs him that his toys have been taken away. The man threatens to tear out his tongue for the provocation. Barracuda just grabs his chin, promising him a new toy in Jumdam. The man's eyes widen. That district is his old home. Barracuda asks if he's forgotten about Driver. The man sneers, calling the former Gumdam boss a friend whose eyes he'd love to gouge. Barracuda delivers the final blow. Driver is no longer the boss there. He shatters the restraints and sends them to the Gumdam district. A terrifying smile spreads across the man's face as he anticipates the toys ahead. Na-eun calls out to Min-young, surprised that she was right behind her all along. Min-young claims she just arrived. Na-eun admits her surprise at getting a call from such an unfamiliar, unknown number. Min-young explains she changed her number after leaving the hospital to erase every memory of that nightmare. As they walk, Na-eun mentions her brother is currently at the library, so that's where they'll meet. Min-young reveals a gift for Woo-chan, proving she's the type who always repays a debt of kindness. At the city library, Na-eun stops to inhale the scent of an old book. When questioned, she confesses her love for the aroma. She enjoys the scent of new books too, but she has a specific goal. She promises to find her book and return quickly. Min-young asks for the title. Na-eun explains it's a particular cookbook her brother has been searching for. Her friend's interest is instantly piqued. Suddenly, she spots the book and shouts out in triumph. Just as she reaches for it, Kang Wu pulls it from the shelf. Na-eun protests, but the protagonist claims his hand got there first. He looks down, instantly recognizing Na-eun as the girl from their previous encounter. Seeing that she seems to be recovering well, he decides to let her have the book. As Kang Wu departs, he tells Moros not to worry, they can easily find another copy in the back. Na-eun stands there, speechless. In another part of the city, a blonde youth pulverizes a heavy bag, shattering his personal record. His geeky friend can only watch in disbelief at such monstrous strength. Gi-hun complains that life has become dreadfully dull, prompting his friend to ask what he's looking for. The young man sighs, claiming excitement is nowhere to be found. A mysterious figure emerges from the shadows, offering the thrill he's been seeking. Gi-hun snaps to attention, demanding to know the stranger's identity. The stranger promises a very special gift. He finds it amusing to watch someone so desperately hunting for a spark of entertainment. Sensing a terrifying presence, Gi-hun recognizes the infamous villain. The antagonist mockingly asks if he's frightened, claiming the boy is free to refuse. But when Gi-hun tries to walk away, the villain revokes his choice. After all, a quick rejection would ruin all the fun. He forces the gift onto Gi-hun's head, certain the boy will love it. Gi-hun collapses instantly, only for a twisted face to tear open across the box. The villain declares his new toy is absolutely adorable, inviting everyone to play. This is the A-rank psycho, known as the Toy Maker. Simultaneously at the library, Na-eun calls out for her older brother, signaling that she has finally arrived. Woo-chan wonders why she waited in the heat instead of meeting at a comfortable cafe as planned. Na-eun reveals she was hunting for a specific cookbook, the simple one she's been wanting for a long time. Woo-chan is touched, she remembered his passing comment. While Ji-ho watches the siblings with curiosity, the trainee hero asks if Min-young has fully recovered, and the girl offers her sincere gratitude. Na-eun presents a special gift to her savior. It's a token of appreciation for rescuing her during their previous encounter. Nearby, a panicked employee apologizes. The specific book they were searching for is completely sold out nationwide. Kang Wu tenses as a strange frequency fills the air. Ji-ho asks what's wrong just as the ground begins to heave with violent tremors. Kang Wu's instincts scream of danger. He roars for everyone to take cover as the library's massive windows explode inward. Woo-chan gasps, struggling to process the sudden chaos. The transformed Gi-hun, now sporting a TV box head, watches the terrified crowd with an eerie, unblinking gaze. Deep within the villain district, Driver tinkers with machinery, grumbling about upcoming midterms. He should be studying, but a breaking news bulletin catches his eye. Reports flood in about horrific, box-headed monsters terrorizing the Gotham shopping district. These gifted humans are attacking everything in sight. Police suspect a coordinated terrorist strike as live footage beams from the scene. Driver's eyes narrow at the mention of the gift boxes. Watching the screen, Crow realizes this isn't random. This has the stench of that one particular bastard written all over it. The lunatic who vanished 3 years ago after a humiliating defeat is back. Inside the ruined library, our heroes brace themselves for a brutal confrontation. Ji-ho wonders if this creature is truly a villain, but the box-headed monstrosity only responds with a chilling, toothy grin. Suddenly, the box erupts. Hostile plushie dolls surge from the creature's head, swarming toward the group of heroes like a literal nightmare. Woo-chan smashes through one with a heavy punch. Ji-ho follows suit, relying on raw strength to repel the toys. A plushie lunges at Na-eun's blind spot, emitting strange, suffocating bubbles. The girls scream in terror, but a sudden strike intercepts the attacker. Kang Wu obliterates the doll using nothing but a heavy book. Na-eun catches her breath, offering a shaky thank you. Our protagonist realizes these are just mindless puppets. The monster lets out a distorted shriek, summoning even more plushies to drown them in numbers. Woo-chan prepares to strike, telling Kang Wu to just provide support. In his eyes, all villains must be eliminated without hesitation. But Kang Wu grabs his arm, stopping him cold. He asks if Woo-chan is truly ready to murder an innocent civilian. He explains that the monster is actually a victim, a human hostage being piloted by the villain. Ji-ho is stunned, wondering how Kang Wu could possibly know that. Kang Wu sternly reminds them that a hero's absolute priority is the preservation of civilian life. He demands they maintain composure and think logically. Woo-chan is shaken, baffled that this outsider knows the core hero protocols. Kang Wu shouts a warning as the monster charges with a lethal haymaker. Wu-chan barely reacts in time, blurring backward to evade the crushing impact. Ji-ho tells his friend to clear the area, before finally unleashing his suppressed internal energy. Wu-chan realizes that, if this isn't a villain, but a puppet trapped in a box, he must save them. He channels his unique restoration ability, focusing all his power on the possessed target. The cursed box begins to dissolve into thin air. Gi-hun's face emerges as he returns to human form. Ji-ho gasps, amazed that the recovery actually worked. Kang Wu's intuition was flawless. As the transformation completes, the innocent victim is finally freed from his wooden cage. Ji-ho is impressed by the power of restoration. Na-yun asks what's happening, but Wu-chan remains silent, lost in thought. Across the entire city, chaos reigns supreme. Box-headed puppets and their plushy minions are tearing through the streets, hunting down helpless citizens. The toy maker cackles, satisfied with the carnage. However, his smile fades when he senses one of his toys has been broken. It's time to deliver a punishment. He prepares to hunt down the intruder, but Driver suddenly blocks his path. The toy maker isn't going anywhere today. The villain turns with a wicked grin. Driver reminds him of the warning he gave about causing trouble in Gadam District. But the toy maker just laughs it off. Rules and warnings mean nothing to a man who only lives for the thrill of the game. Gritting his teeth, he whispers how thrilled he is to finally reunite. He craves a look at those shimmering eyes just so he can gouge them out himself. With a manic laugh, he lunges forward. Driver steadies his stance, drawing his blade back for a lethal pierce. He snaps again about those damn puppets. This reunion is pathetic. If it keeps up, his real fury might finally ignite. Deep within the villain's den, the news blares, but Barracuda sneers that this isn't nearly enough. The opening act lacks flair. Those Gadam District bastards deserve a much bloodier show for their entertainment. Rockand, an A rank, growls. Why not just smash through and level everything in their path? An A- rank Ice Demon chimes in. He's fine with any plan, as long as he gets to freeze the world solid. Barracuda doesn't care about the chaos, but the operator is his alone. From the shadows, a woman claims the tastiest prey for herself. Smoker, another A rank, eyes crow. He's been craving poultry, wondering what a smoked crow would actually taste like. A voice from behind asks for permission to pick his own target. His eyes are set on the one named Cassian. This is the A+ rank, Black Ghost. Smoker finds it odd that a mere man sparked his curiosity. Barracuda notes he's targeting the new leader. Do as you wish, he grunts, earning a dark thanks from Black Ghost. When Smoker asks about the toy maker's fate, Barracuda shrugs. That puppet was destined for the scrap heap anyway. He was just the fuse for this festival. A sinister grin spreads. This time, Gadam will finally fall into his grasp. Elsewhere in the city, a twisted puppet with a gift box head sprints through the streets, screaming into the void. It hurls explosive plushies at the crowd, but a sudden strike shatters its head. Ji-ho declares the rescue complete. That's 3 saved. They have to neutralize the villain before the body count rises any further. Ji-ho warns that a direct pursuit is suicide. Backup is en route, so they should hold their positions for now. Wu-chan counters any delay will only fuel the villain's madness. This has to be the rumored maniac, the toy maker. He's seen this monster's file in Gadam's registry, a sadistic freak who commits atrocities for pure, sick pleasure. Across town, Kang Wu checks his phone. Moros senses the shift and asks what's wrong. Kang Wu explains Driver's report. The mastermind behind this carnage is the guy called the Toy Maker. Moros grimaces at the complication. Kang Wu moves to leave, but Moros warns him of the surrounding witnesses. I'll just vanish, Kang Wu mutters. Na-on catches him, asking where he's headed. He simply claims he's going home. The girl insists it's too dangerous to wander alone. Min-young agrees, confident since her brother is a professional hero. Moros realizes slipping away won't be easy. Kang Wu clicks his tongue at the hassle, then his instincts flare. A shadow looms from above, gift in hand. Kang Wu lunges, pulling the girls to safety just in time. As he stands his ground, the toy maker cackles from above. Impressive speed, he cheers, impressed. Wu-chan rushes to his sister, but the toy maker drops down. You broke my toys, he hisses. Time for a lesson. Ji-ho is stunned, but Wu-chan braces himself. The villain isn't running, he's coming straight for them. The toy maker beams at being recognized. A reward is in order. I have a special gift. Just for you. He claims it's a rare item as he charges. Wu-chan ignites a torrent of flame, forcing the villain to halt. The hero unleashes the inferno, but the toy maker just licks his lips and hurls the gift through the fire. A fish plushie erupts, spewing a pressurized jet of water. Wu-chan is forced to kill his flames and pivot to defense. Na-on screams as Wu-chan is slammed into a wall. The toy maker closes in, cackling hysterically. Found you? Wu-chan curses his luck, but suddenly clonk. A smartphone strikes the toy maker right in the skull. The villain snarls at the interruption, but Wu Chan is already there. His fist erupts in flames. "Eat this," he roars. The toy maker is sent flying like a rag doll. He skids across the asphalt in a heap. Wu Chan blinks, spotting the phone. "Wait, isn't this mine?" Kang Wu asks if Moros saw that. It was known she's the one who threw the phone to help her brother. Kang Wu is stunned by her mana curve. She's on the verge of awakening. But the victory is short-lived as the truth hits. That toy maker was just another hollow puppet. A chilling laugh echoes from the far end of the street. The real toy maker pouts. "So naughty. You shouldn't be so cold when my toys are broken like this." "No matter," he chirps. "I have plenty of toys left." Meanwhile, at Lampas Korea, Daewang bursts in, claiming he was just in the restroom. His partner grumbles about the unfolding disaster, blaming him for putting Wu Chan in such a precarious position. The hero notices his senior's sleek new ride, but she just snaps at him to shut up and get in. Meanwhile, reports confirm the attack is centered in Gotham heart. With its volatile population, the casualties will only skyrocket as time slips away. This is the A+ rank hero, Han Ji-sun. Daewang asks if that twisted toy maker has finally resurfaced as predicted. Ji-eun scoffs, asking if he's just now catching on. Her partner, Kim Woo-chan, already reported it and requested immediate backup. Daewang wonders if he's holding the line solo. Ji-sun admits it's a relief he's not alone, but his only support is the apprentice, Ji-ho. Distressed, Daewang insists they call immediately. They can't afford any reckless heroics from those two right now. But his senior warns she's already ordered them to stay hidden. If they rush in blindly like the Blood Rain incident, everything will fall apart. Something feels incredibly fishy. That monster vanished 3 years ago, only to resurface now without a trace of warning. He was always an enigma, a chaotic force who likely just grew bored of lurking in the shadows. This isn't just localized to Seoul. Similar suspicious movements are erupting in every single zone across the entire nation. It's as if a grand architect is orchestrating a war, pitting the zones against one another in a deadly game. If there's a bastard gunning for absolute control over the villain zones, they're the only ones who profit from this carnage. Daewang finds Wu Chan's phone dead, and Ji-eun urges him to keep trying. Panic sets in as he realizes something must have happened. Across the city, a lone drone hovers in the sky. From high above, the driver observes the unfolding chaos with a watchful eye. A gift from the toy maker streaks past as he cackles. He mocks them, telling the heroes to play until their very lives burn out. A barrage of deadly projectiles rains down on the heroes. Wu Chan charges forward, obliterating every single one with his bare fists. He shatters one final crate, but it's a trap. Dozens of plushies explode outward, pinning the young hero's arm in a vice-like grip. Wu Chan freezes in shock. The toy maker sneers, claiming he's won a unique item, the stickies. "You'll make a magnificent toy," he taunts. "This is perfect," he screams, launching even more jagged pieces at the trapped young man. Kang Wu bellows at the blue-haired youth, demanding he stop stalling. He needs to unleash his abilities to save Wu Chan immediately. Ji-ho snaps into action, ignoring the toy maker's arrogance. He activates his restoration power, causing the cursed toys to dissolve into nothingness. The toy maker shrieks in denial, his face twisting in rage. "Stop it! Don't you dare ruin my precious toys!" Wu Chan shuts him up with a brutal elbow strike, sending the villain crashing into a wall. He swings again, but the toy maker blurs, catching Wu Chan by the throat. "You're a super rare item. You should be honored to join my collection." Suddenly, a blade of shadow severs his grip. Dark ropes of energy materialize, binding the toy maker's hands as confusion washes over him. Wu Chan ignites his fist with roaring flames. He slams a punch home, growling, "Who's the toy now, you bastard?" He hurls the villain across the pavement like trash. The toy maker hits the ground hard, completely blacked out. Ji-ho calls out to his friend, but Wu Chan is mesmerized by the fading shadow blade. He recognizes that power as the driver watches from the rooftops. The mysterious observer scratches his cheek thoughtfully. "I'll pretend I saw nothing," he mutters. Later, back home, Wu Chan watches the news report on the previous day's chaos in Gotham. The anchor asks for confirmation. Was the infamous toy maker truly the mastermind behind the terror? Ji-eun explains that the villains' twisted games left a trail of devastating injuries in their wake. When asked about the cause, the heroine notes that Gotham was supposed to prove that villain control was actually possible. She points out the cold statistics. Cities with designated villain zones actually boast lower overall crime rates. The report concludes that the recent surge of violence was a direct result of sheer negligence within the Gotham district. The journalist thanks her, agreeing that a total reconstruction and stricter safety measures are now mandatory. Without the decisive intervention of our heroes, the death toll from these incidents would have been catastrophic. Word is spreading that the apprentices, Wu Chan and Ji-ho, were the true MVPs of the operation. He asks if these rising stars of Lampas deserve the fame. Ji-eun admits there are even whispers of fast-tracking their official debut. Wu Chan clicks off the TV, Remembering Da Wong's words about how proud he was of his partner, he recalls the times that villain actually saved lives, questioning his true motives. With a heavy heart, he glances at his phone. The name on the screen is Cassian, the man who was once his ultimate idol. Meanwhile, Aroma notes that things have taken a messy turn. Munching on a cookie, she listens as Wong warns of a shadow group pushing the media to support a zone invasion. Driver asks if the other zones have reacted, but Wong confirms a chilling silence from the rest of the country. Fate was always going to catch up to them. Driver explains that since this was orchestrated, they've become the opening sacrifice. Did Gadam look like an easy target? Wong offers his blade if backup is required, but Driver scoffs, dismissing his sense of duty as nothing more than empty bragging. They possess a peerless secret weapon, leaving Wong wondering why he was absent. Aroma sneers, sensing only an absolute piece of trash. He's currently stuck in midterms, Driver reveals. The news leaves the trio in total disbelief. High above Gadam High School, Kang Wu assures Yuri over the phone that things are going smoothly. He's eating and cooking well, so she should focus on herself instead of worrying. After yesterday's chaos, Yuri remains skeptical. Kang Wu lies smoothly, claiming he was home studying for his exams. Midterms are approaching, but our protagonist notes they actually begin today. He's given his all. Yuri reminds him that in the end, only the final results matter. Suddenly, Wu Chan looms behind him. Making an excuse, Kang Wu cuts the call short to face him. He turns toward Wu Chan. Meanwhile, at Yuri's restaurant in America, his name is called. Yuri worries the exams are stressing him out, wishing she'd mentioned the anxiety medicine in the drawer, but Sean finally finds her after a frantic search. She mentions her brother, asking if there's trouble. Sean explains the search wasn't for trouble. The general manager has finally returned from his trip. Eager to meet Yuri, he bypassed his own home to head straight to the restaurant. Sean enters the office, where a man stands staring out the window. He turns as they arrive. Sean introduces manager Yuri. She looks at him, wondering if this is the man in charge. "I'm Vincent," he introduces himself with a polite smile. "It's a pleasure to meet you." On the roof, Wu Chan closes his eyes and offers his sincere thanks. Without Kang Wu, they would have been finished. Did he really come all this way just for a thank you? Wu Chan praises his calm judgment and decisive action during that life-or-death crisis. Vowing to learn from him, Wu Chan pulls out a mysterious bag. Inside is a gift from his sister, a token of gratitude for saving them yesterday. She's never gifted a man before, and this rare item was incredibly difficult to obtain. As he turns to leave, he begins to ask about yesterday's incident, asking if he saw a man in black before changing his mind and wishing him luck. Something is shifting inside. Kang Wu realizes he'll have to open it to solve the mystery. A cookbook? In the heart of Gdom's villain zone? Nearby, Driver and Crow prepare a massive barricade. Hammerboy takes the lead. Driver demands a fortress-like defense, complete with a deep trench up front. Dirt Dog asks just how deep they need to dig. Are the boxing faction really coming? Driver is certain, and he's putting everything on the line. They wanted a stage for their war. Driver asks about Cassian's exams as Hammerboy reinforces his weapon. Dirt Dog activates his master excavation skill. Cassian watches the chaos. Driver explains they're outmanned, but 13 prepared warriors can overcome any odds. Where to? Cassian simply replies he's off to meet Yu Chai-ha. Day drinking? Crow suggests they head over to share a private bottle of wine. At Paradise Bar, Uch offers high-grade magic stones. Cassian's answer is simple. He'll take the entire stock. Uch questions his wallet. He'll count them out, but warns that credit isn't an option here. How many are left? Uch pauses, calculating the value. Satisfied, the card is legit. Uch leads the way toward the secret warehouse. Descending into the depths, Uche reveals his prize. 5 high-grade magic stones glow within the chest. Is that all? Cassian expected a much larger haul. The price is steep, reflecting their peerless, superior-grade quality. Cassian offers to sweep the stock for a discount. Uch refuses, standing firm on the price. The main character pushes for a better deal. Frustrated, the merchant yields to the price but demands full payment immediately. Cassian coldly orders him to provide the account information. He mentions only he knows the secret account under Cassian's name. Moros wonders if it was a hidden emergency fund. Kang Wu reveals Jeff advised this for dire times. Now that he has accessed it, Moros is left in utter shock. The amount is staggering. Kang Wu regrets not stashing all his wealth there before the world turned upside down. Moros questions his ultimate plan for such a massive fortune. He intends to invest it all into raw power. Yuchi grins, pleased with the deal, and welcomes his future return. Grabbing his phone, he marvels at the mysterious stranger capable of such a colossal, one-time transaction. Across the city, Minyoung ponders dinner while Naon excitedly suggests her favorite mango parfait. As their treats arrive, Minyoung admires the presentation while Naon eyes the generous serving of mango. Naon asks about their mysterious savior's whereabouts, but Minyoung admits she has absolutely no clue. Assuming he returned home, Naon takes a bite. Suddenly, a flash of Kang Wu fleeing haunts her memory. Minyoung calls out repeatedly. She panics upon seeing Naon's spoon clatter to the floor in shock. The realization hits Naon like a lightning bolt. It was him. Naon retreats to the restroom as Minyoung points the way. Unbeknownst to her, a predatory gaze follows. Black Ghost lurks in the shadows. Washing her hands, Naon feels certain her secret remained hidden from everyone. She weighs the consequences of exposing him. Suddenly, a terrifying surge of energy manifests behind her. Cassian materializes out of thin air. Naon trembles, asking why, but he remains deathly silent. Minyoung grows anxious over the silence and unanswered texts. She wonders if Naon is busy on a call. A blood-curdling scream shatters the air. Panic erupts as Cassian emerges, coldly carrying a captive Naon. Minyoung screams for her frozen friend. Cassian looks down, apathetically questioning their relationship. He orders her to deliver a grim ultimatum. To save his sister, her brother must enter the villain zone. Deep within the Gdom district, Blackhand surveys the absolute carnage in disbelief. Doubleblade reveals these were traps for the boxing crew. Blackhand growls that they should strike first. He questions going solo, but Doubleblade halts him. A lethal trap lies hidden right beneath his next step. As they discuss the handiwork, Crush's eyes widen. Something or someone is approaching from the horizon. Crush identifies a figure as Kim Woo-chan. Blackhand, clueless, asks if this is some villain from boxing. Doubleblade shouts in alarm. That man is no villain, he is a hero currently trending online. He screams a warning. A powerful psyker has arrived. Igniting his fist with power, he commands his allies to move. He will show this hero the true meaning of regret. Wu-chan readies his explosive energy. He demands they step aside so he can save his sister. Suddenly, his foot sinks. A trap! A violent explosion erupts. Amidst the chaos, Blackhand loses his footing and plunges into a pit. Crush snaps back in frustration. Meanwhile, Cassian finishes absorbing the final traces of the magic stones. He stares at his palm as raw power begins to manifest. Moros inquires about the effect of 5 high-quality crystals. Cassian, feeling unchanged, activates his appraisal eye to inspect his status. Cassian notes his mana is only 860, barely enough to scratch B-rank territory. Moros notes, these crystals are losing their edge. To truly ascend, they need a genuine, high-tier crystal. Despite Moros's advice, Cassian scoffs. He would rather forge his strength through brutal training than rely on snacks. Moros smirks, revealing that Cassian's mana surged to absurd levels during his last moment of pure rage. Inspecting his status, Cassian notices a strange numerical value listed beside his skill name. Moros explains it is from utilizing the twin shadow blades against Blood Rain. Suddenly, a knock echoes. The driver announces a visitor has arrived, a man going by the name Kim Woo-chan. Intrigued, Cassian turns to face the news. Meanwhile, a drone surveys the desolate boxing villain zone. Within the ruins, Black Ghost carries Naon as his aura begins to bleed out. Smoker waits, anticipating his arrival. Black Ghost materializes before his superior. A cold, predatory smirk spreads across Barracuda's face. Black Ghost vows to rot her in a cell, earning the boss's approval. Smoker wonders if this is finally the move to trap those G-damn villains once and for all. This just made the game more interesting, Barracuda muses. Soon, every headline will brand Cassian as the monster who kidnapped a hero's family. It is the perfect bait for the media. Those reporters will swarm like a pack of starved, relentless wolves. Barracuda plots to isolate them from the world completely. Once they are cut off and alone, the total purge of the G-damn villain zone begins. Deep within the shadows of the towering skyline, Cassian breaks down the situation to a bound Wu-chan. He repeats the absurdity of the claim that he supposedly abducted the boy's sister. Recalling Na-eun, Cassian scoffs at the accusation. He doesn't stoop to such pathetic tactics. A truth driver firmly stands by. Kidnapping wasn't enough for them. They had to frame him too. Those boxing cowards used a filthy trick to stab them in the back. Wu-chan's teeth gnash in a fit of rage as he screams for the truth. He demands to know exactly where they are hiding his sister. Driver notes that while Boxin's judgment is coming, clearing up this misunderstanding takes priority. To everyone's shock, Cassian orders the boy to be untied. He is determined to settle this chaos once and for all. While Wu-chan seethes in silence, they pull up the drone feed. Driver smirks, glad they had the foresight to keep a watchful eye on their enemies. The truth is undeniable. This was Barracuda's handiwork. Anticipating their treachery, Driver had already sent a drone to infiltrate Boxin's territory. Crow admires the high-res footage while Cassian eyes the imposter. Driver identifies the culprit as Black Ghost, a shifter who literally stole Cassian's face. The protagonist questions the visual, and his ally confirms the transformation. The villain had been masquerading as him the entire time. Wu-chan stares at the screen in disbelief. The resemblance is terrifyingly perfect. Cassian shrugs off the shock. It's time to hunt the real culprit. If they want to play dirty, Wu Chan declares that only a public execution will suffice. If Cassian is heading to the box and villain zone, Wu Chan insists on coming along. He will do anything to save his little sister. Driver assures them they won't be going alone, and Crow steps forward to join the hunt. The air turns electric as the invasion is set for today. Suddenly, Blackhand and his crew burst in, refusing to be left out of the fight. They're itching for some real action and refuse to let the main team have all the fun. Cassian doesn't stop them from joining, but he notes there's one crucial detail that needs resolving first. Driver's gaze lands on a bewildered Wu Chan. Meanwhile, in a luxury suite at the Levon Rose Hotel, Wong marvels at his magnificent hall of jewels. They are breathtakingly beautiful. No matter how much he stares, their value seems truly priceless. Otai and Aroma dismiss him as trash for his obsession, but a sudden phone call cuts through the tension. Wong grumbles about the interruption, but his expression shifts to pure shock a moment later. The twins watch him, completely stunned by his reaction. Wong's form begins to shift as he senses the call to action. He declares that this is a mission only he can handle. Arriving at the heart of the Boxen district, Kang Wu surveys the lawless wasteland with his arms crossed in silent judgment. Driver warns that there is no turning back now. Before they cross the threshold, they must review the plan one last time. He barks at the newcomer to focus. Being a rookie is no excuse for standing around like an idiot. He orders Red Mask to move it. Earlier, Driver had forced the mask onto Wu Chan as a condition for the raid. When asked why, Cassian explains the optics. A hero fighting alongside villains would cause a scandal. Driver admits it started as a joke, but now it's a necessity. If he wants to avoid starting dangerous rumors, he has to keep his face hidden behind that mask. Driver points toward their primary objective, the high-ranking leadership of the Boxen district. Cassian plans to crush the leaders before rescuing the hostage. Crow notes the audacity of trying to achieve checkmate with such a small squad. Cassian demands the shortest route possible. A swift ambush is their only path to victory. He begins delegating roles with tactical precision. Driver takes point on recon, while Cassian spearheads the infiltration. Crow will remain in the shadows, providing lethal cover fire. Wu Chan asks about CQB tactics, but Cassian relegates him to the rear guard. Crow just looks confused, wondering what CQB even means. As Cassian finalizes the mission objectives, Blackhand abruptly interrupts the briefing. He complains about being treated like mere decoration. Crush suggests a simpler plan, just charge in and destroy everything in their path. Cassian assigns them a separate, vital task. While the main team strikes, they must secure the escape route for a clean exit. Their orders are strict: stay hidden, stay alert, and don't get captured before the mission is complete. As the two bicker, Red Mask is hit by a wave of déjà vu. He remembers Cassian's words from hero training that victory belongs to the swift ambush. He remembers a hand resting on his head. His mentor had called him a talented kid, promising his skills would one day change the world. Red Mask realizes the villain is repeating the same old lines as the group gathers on the rooftop, ready to strike. Driver's drone hovers over a security camera, seamlessly interfacing with the system to hijack the entire feed. With cold precision, Driver confirms that targets 10 and 11 have been successfully neutralized. The perimeter is ours. Crow is visibly impressed, and Cassian gives the signal the invasion starts now. They dive into the night. Red Mask hesitates for a breath before leaping, fueled by a vow to save his sister. Deep within the district's stronghold, Naon lies unconscious on the cold, hard floor of a dim room. Consciousness returns in a surge of panic. Naon wakes up in a cell, her mind racing to understand this nightmare. But the moment her hand brushes the floor, her dormant power erupts in a flash of light. She realizes that person wasn't him. As the truth sinks in, heavy footsteps echo menacingly from the hallway. Outside, Blackhand's temper reaches a breaking point. He and Crush abandon the plan, ready to storm the front head-on. A real villain doesn't need an exit strategy, they go all in. Doubleblade just wishes they'd learn to shut up. They were benched because of their loud mouths, but Blackhand refuses to accept blame for the lack of stealth. Doubleblade sighs at the stupidity surrounding him. He notes the boss has been acting strange, almost like a different person. During the briefing, the boss didn't feel like a criminal, he gave off the overwhelming aura of a high-ranking hero. Blackhand is baffled, but the argument is cut short when a sharp voice demands to know who's trespassing. The villains freeze. They've been spotted by Juak, and Crush realizes their cover is completely blown. Juak narrows her eyes, questioning what these Godam losers are doing so deep within the Boxen district. She mockingly suggests they came to surrender. Enraged, Blackhand barks back, telling her to watch her mouth. The air grows heavy as Rockhand approaches. The villains tremble. They've just walked into the lion's den. Rockhand sneers at the intruders, mocking them for being the most blatant, pathetic spies he's ever seen. Blackhand bristles at the insult, while Juak continues to taunt their lack of skill and obvious desperation. Surrender? Blackhand roars. I didn't come here to bow. I came here to take over Boxen. Doubleblade curses their reckless mouth. Rockhand simply smirks, challenged by the bold declaration of war. He admires their suicidal courage and tells them to prove their resolve is stronger than solid rock. Blackhand steps forward, confident that his steel fists will shatter anything in his path. In another corner of the fortress, Barracuda sits in silence, his mind drifting back to the shadows of the past. Years ago in Gotham, a younger driver questioned Barracuda's dream of uniting every zone in Seoul. Barracuda envisioned a future where villains were no longer hunted, standing strong together against the heroes. His ambition was vast, to unite the criminal underworld across the country and eventually the world. But Driver rejected the vision, accusing him of gathering rowdy kids just to satisfy a pathetic ego. Driver had no interest in bullying the weak and looked down on those who did. With the others siding against him, Barracuda snapped, hurling insults at the man who dared to defy him. Driver didn't flinch, pointing a tool at Barracuda's throat in a cold, silent warning that left him shaken. Back in the present, Barracuda stands. The sound of approaching footsteps brings him back to reality. A subordinate arrives with an urgent report, and Barracuda demands a status update on the perimeter. She reports that 3 B-rank losers from Gotham have been spotted lurking on the outskirts of their zone. Barracuda asks who is handling the trash, and she confirms that Rockhand is already on the scene. Rockhand is more than enough, but Barracuda senses a trap. These idiots are likely just bait for a larger play. He knows Driver's tactical mind too well. A trick this obvious wouldn't be the real move. Barracuda bares his teeth in a predatory grin. No other boss, not even Driver, will defeat him this time. He isn't the same man who was beaten years ago. Meanwhile, on the far side of the building, Cassian reaches the inner sanctum faster than expected. Crow beams, taking all the credit for their swift infiltration. Before they breach, Driver deploys a sub-miniature drone to scan the room for high-level threats. Red Mask watches Driver's efficiency, realizing how terrifying an enemy the man would be if they ever crossed paths. Suddenly, a noise echoes behind them. Red Mask tenses up, but Cassian just smirks. The boredom was finally over. With no other choice, he reinforces the strategy for a lightning-fast ambush. Suddenly, a thick, hazy smoke chokes the air, blinding them. As Red Mask demands answers, a chilling laugh echoes through the mist. Every eye turns to the mysterious woman. She mocks them as lost rats, ignoring both the legendary Driver and Crow as if they were nobodies. Smoker declares that while Driver is the boss's property, Crow belongs to her alone. A deadly duel is set. A cold smile plays on the woman's lips. Crow tells the others to push forward, leaving the cleanup to her. Driver tries to speak, but Crow shuts him down instantly. This is girl talk, and he wouldn't dare interfere in a lady's business. Cassian hesitates, but Driver knows better. She's actually enjoying herself. So the group charges ahead into the unknown. Driver jokingly tells Crow to play nice before catching up. With a sharp laugh, she watches her allies vanish into the distance. A sinister grin spreads across Smoker's face. Now that the distractions are gone, they can finally enjoy some quality time together. Crow scoffs at being called a distraction. To her, Smoker is just a delusional amateur. They weren't obstacles, but Smoker's only hope for survival. Now, with no one to stop her, Crow will hunt until Smoker drops dead. Deep within the facility, alarms blare as guards shout for the intruders' heads. The order is clear: kill on sight. Cassian sprints through the corridors, his senses sharp. Ahead, a pack of bloodthirsty villains blocks their path. B+ rank Sharktooth roars for a merciless beatdown. But before he can strike, Cassian dissolves into a flicker of shadows. In a flash of lethal movement, the villains are decimated. Cassian delivers a thunderous kick, slamming a thug through the concrete wall. Sharktooth grunts, acknowledging Cassian's speed. He mocks the weak strikes, claiming his iron-hard body is invincible. Activating his prey hunt ability, he lunges to tear out Cassian's throat, but the protagonist is faster. He jams a razor-sharp shadow blade directly between the villain's jagged teeth. Using the wall as a springboard, he launches a devastating knee strike. Sharktooth collapses, unconscious and drenched in his own blood. Without a hint of mercy, Cassian delivers one final blow, burying Sharktooth's face deep into the floor. The monster is silenced. While Driver nods in approval, Wu-chan is left breathless by Cassian's overwhelming evolution. Every time they meet, his power reaches new, terrifying heights. Cassian then signals that it's time to split their forces. He and the operator will strike the Boxen leaders. Meanwhile, Wu-chan must fulfill his true mission, saving his sister. Driver confirms she's held in the nearby basement. Their drones have already locked onto her exact coordinates. It's a clear path to victory. Wu-chan clenches his fist, offering a silent thanks before sprinting toward his destiny. Driver admires the brother's devotion, but his focus quickly shifts. A new wave of villains is closing in from behind. He urges the others to keep moving. He'll handle these small fry and keep the path clear. If they stall now, they'll be swarmed. Cassian trusts his comrade's strength, as Driver promises to rejoin them after the cleanup. Left alone with the mob, Driver brandishes his weapon. It's time for a nice chat about the consequences of their actions. The scene shifts back to the deadly duel. Smoker, fueled by irritation and pride, unleashes her magic. She calls forth the suffocating breath from beyond. Crow dances through the air, her acrobatics defying gravity. But Smoker's toxic breath continues to saturate every inch of the battlefield. With a lethal spin of her staff, Crow commands the shadows. Her crow's hide-and-seek technique launches a barrage from the darkness. The thick smoke begins to fracture and dissolve. Within the chaos, Crow completely vanishes from sight. She reappears, planting her staff with casual arrogance. But just as she mocks her foe, a deadly presence strikes from her blind spot. She spins just in time to dodge. One of her summoned crows takes the hit, letting out a pained grunt. Before she can counter, the black smoke coils around her like a living serpent. Smoker sneers at her poor prey. One breath of this cursed mist will freeze her blood and incinerate her lungs. The taunts fall on deaf ears. Crow's aura suddenly shifts, turning cold and murderous. An unforgivable crime has been committed. Violent crow energy erupts from her body. How dare this woman lay a finger on her precious babies? These crows were a gift from her true love. Smoker's confidence wavers, as her own magic is devoured by this impossible power. Crow's voice drops to a chilling whisper. Smoker's fate is sealed. She will now face the judgment of the crow. Thousands of crows swarm, consuming the woman's silhouette. A terrifying transformation is about to be unleashed. Deep in the second basement, Wu-chan races toward the holding cells. His heart pounds with every step. He vows to repay his allies for this chance. But just as he nears his goal, the floor turns to treacherous ice. Wu-chan skids to a sudden halt. Ice Demon narrows his eyes, claiming he's never seen this face before. He wonders if the boy is just another sacrificial pawn from Gdom. It was a calculated move to wait here. He knew at least one fool would come crawling to save the hostage. Wu-chan erupts in a pillar of flame. "Shut your mouth and get out of my way," he roars as the heat intensifies. Ice Demon smirks, finding the matchup poetic. Opposing elements are his favorite. A hothead wielding fire versus a cold-blooded killer is the ultimate thrill. They both unleash their full power at once. Outside, crows scatter in terror while Smoker groans as the agony of his wounds deepens. Meanwhile, on the 12th floor of the building, Cassian's knuckles turn white. He can feel the tension in the air reaching a breaking point. He marches toward the boss's room, demanding the coward show his face. Suddenly, the surrounding shadows begin to bleed into reality. Black Ghost emerges, praising the boy's sharp instincts. He's been dying to meet a fellow villain who shares his dark affinity. "Are you the one who took Nan?" Cassian growls. The villain chuckles, admitting he's been tracking Cassian's meteoric rise. Making such a legendary debut as a rookie is no small feat. Fighting fellow villains outside the designated zone is a cardinal sin. Yet, Cassian ignored every taboo. Hunting his own kind without mercy, he's become a public enemy, a hunter of the night. Even if his life were taken here, no one would dare hold a grudge. He has become the boss of this heretical domain. But Kang Wu can't help but question the weight of such a title. "Forgive my sarcasm. I truly admire you," Black Ghost sneers. To be a true villain, one must be willing to descend into total madness. They were born to be outlaws, yet Black Ghost feels trapped by his nature. A creature of the shadows like him could never dream of such boldness. Moros scoffs, wondering if they've found a fanboy. But Black Ghost is serious. He wants to transcend being a mere shadow and become absolute darkness itself. Moros wonders if they've encountered a stalker, while Cassian dismisses him as a twisted, sick bastard. "I've talked enough," Black Ghost declares, his voice turning cold. "It's time to see which darkness reigns supreme in this abyss." Cassian braces himself as the villain's presence shifts. Suddenly, multiple heads sprout from the villain's body, mocking him from every angle. Are they illusions? Or is he facing 4 real threats? "Here I come," Black Ghost screams, lunging forward with lethal intent. Real or fake, it doesn't matter to the protagonist. He will unleash his void and erase every single one of them from existence. His shadow blade cuts through the air. Black Ghost is blasted back, but Cassian is already on him, closing the gap in a heartbeat. He follows up with a lethal claw strike. But the assassin is slippery, twisting away and retreating like a cowardly dog. "Are you going to hide in the shadows?" Cassian taunts. The smoke in the room begins to thicken, turning the air into a suffocating shroud. The protagonist notes that the villain's speed is exceptional. This won't be a simple hunt. Black Ghost realizes he underestimated his prey's strength. He begins weaving a terrifying darkness ability, one he kept hidden for this very moment. He shatters the chandelier, plunging the room into a total abyss. The last light dies, leaving Cassian blind in the crushing dark. A lethal strike comes from the rear, but Cassian's reflexes are inhuman as he spins to meet the invisible threat. The villain laughs, so Cassian isn't omnipotent in the dark after all. His voice echoes from every corner, a disorienting symphony of shadows. We both use darkness, but I am its master assassin. This isn't a brawl, it's a silent execution. The earlier clash was just a bait. Now, he'll show Cassian the true horror of dying in a void where you can't see your own hand. Cassian scoffs at the word horror. This amateur knows nothing of the true abyss or the soul-crushing terror of waiting for death. Black Ghost flinches in shock. Cassian isn't just using darkness, he has become the very essence of it. I've already tasted death and clawed my way back, he whispers. Rebirth is a hell the villain couldn't possibly imagine. Deep in the second basement of the hideout, Naun shivers as she echoes his words. She grips the bars of her cage, hearing the distant, muffled sounds of a war above. The elemental war rages on. Wu Chan dances through a storm of ice, fire surging from his heart like a volcano. Ice demon roars, glacial torrent. A freezing wave of death erupts, but Wu Chan evades every blast with surgical precision. He charges forward, searching for a single opening. The villain is experienced, weaving skills together in a seamless, freezing web. You're tougher than you look. Ice Demon expected a mindless hothead who would have been easy to freeze solid. This makes your eventual frozen end even more thrilling. I'm going to enjoy every second of your frostbite. Do you get a rush from burning things? For me, the true ecstasy is watching the world turn to ice one piece at a time. I'll start with a leg, then an arm. I love watching them tremble as they realize they're turning into statues. Wu Chan shatters the frost, snarling at the despicable villain. His flames burn hotter than ever in pure disgust. Ice Demon pauses. Something is wrong. There's no rage in this fire, only calculation. He wonders if this is truly the hostage's psyker brother. Don't compare me to that garbage, Wu Chan spits. I am Red Mask, the strongest villain Gadam has ever known. He lunges forward, his fire intent on turning the demon to ash. The Ice Demon conjures jagged shards, raining frost upon his foe. Wu An shatters the ice with raw strength, closing the gap instantly. Earlier, Wu An questioned why Cassian had summoned him. The protagonist replied he would get straight to the point. The gaps between his strikes are far too wide. Wu Jan gets distracted mid-combat, leaving himself vulnerable to a counterattack. Judgment and speed are everything. Cassian unleashes dark combustion, obliterating the training dummy in a sudden flash of destructive power. Wu Jan is stunned. Speed is the core of every technique, the protagonist declares firmly. Never grant your enemy the luxury of defense. A relentless offense is the ultimate shield. Wu Jan wondered what prompted these lessons. Cassian explains mana compression and explosive heat. Ignition methods vary wildly between those with innate gifts and those without them. Whether you are hero or villain, you exist for one purpose: to grow stronger. Leaning in close, he tells him it is time to finally think outside the box.